What's up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Thursday to all of you. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. Whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, available to stream up online at sportstalk1051.com. You've got your smart devices. The video stream is also up and rolling. All the usual suspects and such. If you are getting ready to hit the roads and such, be careful. I know some of the roads, some people I was reading some stuff online, 53 from Bloomer and that, slip spots and all that, but we do have a lot of closings and delays. Luckily, Eau Claire School District is on spring break this week, but a lot of other local schools and such. So if you want to check out the latest school closings and delays, brought to you by Service Master and Hovland's. You can check them out at WEAU 13 News for the latest school closings and delays. So be careful if you do have to step out there. I know my driveway was fine at like 3-something this morning, but the wooden deck, not so great. So if you got dogs or something like that got to go do their business this morning and you got a wooden deck, watch out for them. They may do some skating and some dancing out there and such. So all right, what do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Brew Crew with another series win. So they begin their season 5-1. Jacob Mizorowski getting a no decision yesterday, but I think we could all say he pitched pretty darn well. Going nuts. Excuse me, 6 strong innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. Bryce Terang picking up his first home run of the season. I mean, it was kind of a pitching duel for most of the game here, heading into the bottom of the 8th. It was tied at 2 apiece, and then that's when the Brewers offense put up that crooked number yet again, 6 in the bottom of the 8th. Batting around there. So Brewers bats coming alive again. Kind of a theme so far in the early portions of this season, putting up some runs later on in the game. So, and again, another game where the Brewers had to come from behind after dropping, 2-0 in the top of the 3rd. They tied it up right away, but putting up that crooked number later on to propel them to victory. So 8 total hits for the Crew yesterday, with those 8 runs. So now they head off on the road. They have the off day today before continuing their American League tour, where they'll be taking on the Kansas City Royals starting tomorrow. So we are 1 week in to this regular season here for the Brew Crew. Let's do some first week impressions, first week overreactions, however you want to phrase it. Let's hear from you. What's your first week impressions surrounding the Brewers, or maybe even individual players with the Brewers? What do you got? All right, let us know. We got that Shoe Doctors bullpen line up and rolling here this morning, 715-830-1912. Also, the Section 105 video chat is also up and rolling as well. So we'll talk plenty of baseball, plenty of Brewers coming your way this morning. Little hoops. Bucks did fall last night to the Houston Rockets, which probably for a lot of people, no surprise. But, hey, maybe it was, you're looking at the final score and such, maybe not as bad as some people thought it would be in that. But 119-113 victory for the Houston Rockets last night. So we just got 6 more of these to go here, Bucks fans, and then that'll be the end of the regular season. But Jiang with 36 points for the Bucks. You got Cormac Ryan coming off the bench, playing 38 minutes and putting up 25 points. So it was a short roster. No Kyle Kuzma, no Miles Turner, no Bobby Portis, obviously no Giannis or even Thanasis and such. So it was a short bench, short roster last night for that game. But we'll throw a little hoops chat in here as we get set also for the Final Four this weekend. So got that on the docket. It is a Takeover Thursday, so this is where you can act like the producer and such. What are some of the topics that you would like to see us discuss, or if you have a topic in mind that you would like to throw out for the rest of our armchair MVPs out there? let us know. We're an open book here. All right. So we'll get to that. It is also a Enough is Enough Thursday. What is the sports narrative? What is the sports story or take that you've been seeing out there quite a bit in the sports world that you're just like, man, enough is enough with that? It is also a Tailgate Outdoors Thursday. So with the youth turkey season popping up this weekend, it's kind of the kickoff for the rest of us, maybe that are not going out there for the youth, but spring turkey season just days away. If you got any questions, hey, maybe just a month away from opening fishing and such. So if you have any questions for our outdoor warded buddy, Mr. Jake Bolks, let us know. All right, send them on over, and we will get those to Jake. We'll continue a little Packers draft countdown too, taking a look at a couple of prospects that could be targets in that day 2 area, rounds 2 and 3. So we'll continue that. We've been looking at a couple different prospects and such, so we'll continue that. Obviously, with Green Bay not having that first round pick, we're focusing on rounds 2 and 3. So we'll take a look at a couple more picks or a couple more prospects, if you will, a little bit later on for our football chat this morning. So that's your game plan here for us this morning. So a little bit of everything. We got some Brewers baseball to hit up. We've got some little bit of hoops. We'll talk a little Packers as we are inching closer and closer to the NFL draft. In fact, it is 3 weeks from today. The first round of the NFL draft will kick off. Obviously, not going to be an eventful one for Green Bay unless they decide to trade up into the first round. But nonetheless, the NFL draft kicks off 3 weeks from today. So that's coming up right around the corner. Let's lead things off here this morning, talking some baseball, talking some Brewers. With 1 week in to this season, let's do some first impressions, first week impressions, maybe a little overreaction, 1 week overreaction talk. Have some fun with it, though. But Brew Crew 5-1 to begin the season. What's impressed you the most? What has stood out to you the most within just 1 week? We know it's a small sample size, but this is what we got to work with here for just 6 games. So let's take our first break, and then coming up in just a couple minutes, we'll talk some baseball to warm you up on this rainy, freezing, wet Thursday morning. We'll be right back after these quick words. As the fields come back to life, it's time for spring sports here in the Chippewa Valley. Whether you're stepping up to the plate or hitting the track or maybe getting back on the field, make sure that your body is ready to perform. At Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their team specializes in keeping athletes of all ages healthy, strong, and in the game. From injury prevention to expert care and recovery, they've got you covered every single step of the season. Don't let pain keep you on the sidelines. Get back in the game with confidence. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better, play stronger, and stay in the game. We've got intern Carter made it in this morning as well with the roads. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah? What's your first impression of this Brewer season so far? 5-1 start to begin. Clearly the best team in Major League Baseball right now. You know, a little fun overreaction and such. So, but I mean, not a whole lot to complain about, right? With a 5-1 start, nearly a couple pitches away from being 6-0.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much just are like last year. I mean, at some point, it's just like they're gonna win the game even if they're losing. So.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at kind of the trend so far. You know, with them putting up their crooked number runs later on in the game and such. I mean, this is a team so far in these first 6 games that have played almost behind from, I mean, going back to opening day with Miz giving up a leadoff home run and such. So it's a team that has provided some clutch hitting and such. So, I mean, there's a lot to like so far in the early goings with your first impressions with this Brewers team. And I know for part of our Takeover Thursday question, one of yours was regarding one Joey Ortiz. Is he back? You know, after the beginning of the season. But I mean, you look at his numbers; he's hitting .333. He's got 3 RBIs and such. And actually, last time it was a few days ago, his strikeout numbers have actually gotten better because he was striking out a little bit there at the beginning. But that's kind of settled out here a little bit with Ortiz. But I mean, you got to tip the cap and give him credit to where credit's due. He is playing better offensively so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting the ball much better than last year. And it seems like he's hitting it harder as well. Mm-hmm. Like last year, even his singles were like infield singles. But now he's definitely hitting the ball much better. And he's produced with bases loaded finally. Yeah, no doubt. You look at a couple of guys, for me, Bryce Terang, one looks like he's kind of picked up where he left off in the World Baseball Classic and such. Picked up his first home run yesterday. But, I mean, he's kind of been a doubles machine so far for the Brewers. And, again, he continues to do it against left-handed pitching, which is just, for me, is almost mind-boggling to think when he first started his career, he was awful against left-handed pitching to where they were benching him and putting somebody else in that lineup. And then Pat Murphy takes over and says, I'm going to give you a shot, you know, to prove that you can do it. And, boy, that guy has ran with it. I mean, you know, opposite field, his swing looks so – it reminds me of like a really good golf swing. You don't have to have a whole lot of, you know, speed behind it. It's nice and smooth. But, man, Terang is just kind of picking up where he's left off so far from an offensive standpoint. And he's got the power, which is most important for this Brewers team.
Right. So, but you got what else? We got Brandon Lockridge. I mean, he was off to a really good, you know, spring start, and I think that's what propelled him to make this team. And, you know, in his opportunities, dude's still hitting 400. So, and he's come up with some clutch hits too. So, but Christian Yelich, man, I mean, you look at what he has done so far in 21 at-bats, obviously with that huge home run on Sunday, yesterday, with the big hit to break the tie. This is what we want to see from Yelich, right? You know, hitting .381 and OPS of a 959 and such. So there's a lot to like so far from the offense. My guy, unfortunately, Salvatore Frelick's got to get it going here a little bit. I know he struggled in spring offensively and such, but, you know, maybe we should give credit to one other guy too because he had a big hit. How about Garrett Mitchell's start to the season so far with his offensive numbers? 286, 769 OPS and such. So, but, I mean, that's a guy that we've been wondering what he's going to look like, right, and what he's going to be able to provide. Can he just stay healthy? I mean, would you take a 286 and 769 from Garrett Mitchell, who's hitting towards the bottom of the lineup right now? I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for sure. I think he does have to cut down on the strikeouts a little bit. But, yeah, like you said, I'll take a 286 center fielder any day of the week. So.
Right. Exactly. So, but anybody else, maybe from a positive or negative, whether it's pitching or player-wise, that has kind of stood out to you? I mean, the bullpen overall, I think, has been really, really sad. Outside of Sproat's first start, not a whole lot to really nitpick, I don't think, with the pitching staff at this point.
No. I mean, they've been great out of the bullpen. Obviously, you're going to get your DL Halls, who's going to walk a couple batters. But he hasn't even allowed a run. So, I mean, Zerpa looks untouchable right now. McGill did allow that run in the ninth that ended up costing us. But he's kind of hit or miss to me. Like, if he's on, he's really hard to hit. Yeah. And then if he's off, he's going to get hit around.
Right. Yeah, and we haven't really, I don't think, seen, we saw McGill, pick up one save and such, but really the Brewers haven't been in too many save opportunities at this point. So I know some of that talk was, is it going to be Uribe that's going to be the closer? Is it going to be McGill as the closer? And honestly, I don't know if we still know that answer, because they haven't been in a situation where they've had to go out there, and have a shutdown inning outside of, maybe a couple games and such. But I think one thing, too, is that they've got a little versatility where if they get into a situation where it's like a back-to-back, if you will, save situation, one night they could go Uribe, the other they could go Trevor McGill and such. And even Zerpa has been getting some late inning stuff over there, too. So I think we're seeing so far the early makings of something that we've talked a lot about, is the versatility of this pitching staff, especially when it comes to the bullpen. I mean, Aaron Ashby seems like the main go-to guy, and I think he's off to a good start so far this season. I mean, he's already pitched in 4 of the 6 games, for crying out loud. So, but and I think for the Miz, even though he didn't pick up a win yesterday, you're talking about 13 strikeouts. No, more than that, because he had 7 and then 10, so 17 strikeouts, right? I believe is what he's got for the season. So, but 1-0, and that's, I mean, I can't complain about what we've seen from him either. So
yeah, like you said last week, I mean, we get it to the 7th, and you're feeling pretty good with Zerpa, Uribe, and McGill, and that can pretty much go in any order at this point. But just got to get the lead going into the 7th.
Right. Yeah. And good to see, Miz kind of getting stretched out, I think, a little bit here. 18 strikeouts right there. So I think, I said 17, so 18 strikeouts for the Miz. And obviously he is the only one double digits, but Ashby's got 9. But we'll let guys get a couple more turns into the rotation here and such. And we're going to see Chad Patrick tomorrow as well. So, but it's going to make for some interesting conversations, like when a Quinn Priester comes back. And, I mean, nobody's really – at this point, again, I'm not ready to close the door on Brandon Sproat. I want to see him again, but really nobody's pitching at the level where we're like, man, we really need Quinn Priester to come back here and such, at least through the first 6 games of this season.
I think the stat that sticks out to me the most for Mizorowski is 11 innings, because I didn't see him going 6 yesterday, and he was able to get through 6. And if he's able to constantly get through 5 or 6 innings, that's going to be massive for this team this year.
Yeah.
Because last year he wasn't. So,
and I think, it might be kind of a little bit of a minor thing, but, you go back to yesterday's game, the long delay, too, after the home plate ump got just smoked on a foul tip. And you had Miz just kind of standing around and, trying to stay loose. And part of me was a little bit worried, like, is that long delay going to, like, get into his head and such? And, I thought he bounced back. Yeah, he gave up a hit and a walk, I think, but, or a couple walks, but then bounced back after that and such. But always kind of curious how the pitchers react after a long delay in the middle, literally in the middle of an at-bat, too. So it's not like your offense is up there giving you a long delay. It's, because, I can't imagine what that felt like, taking a foul tip to the face mask like that. That's just, And then you got to get a different home plate ump, and he's, I would be a little nervous, right, to go behind the dish there. You got Miz, and you just, replacing a guy who, I don't know if he ended up having a concussion or not, but I was kind of curious if the Miz kid would, maybe get a little too much in his head and such, and it kind of, I don't want to say fall off the rails, but maybe kind of throw him into a little bit of a out of rhythm, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So.
I think last year it would have definitely, but I think this year he's almost matured. I mean, his fastball is much slower, and by much slower I mean 99.
Yeah.
But he's spotting it more, and so he's not throwing 104 down the middle. He's painting the corner with 99, and I think he's starting to understand that that's better.
Yeah.
People can't hit 99 outside, so I think he's matured in that aspect.
I think that's a good word to describe it, mature. And I think a lot of it does help with Contreras behind the plate.
Yeah.
We've been hearing a lot in the last week about these young pitchers talking about what it means to have Contreras. I mean, he's kind of like a tough love, with what we've been hearing and such, and obviously with the pitching staff of like Chris Hook and Jim Henderson too. So, but. No, I mean, what about the rest of you? What are some of your first impressions of this 5-1 starts for the Brew Crew? Let us know. All right, we got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more baseball talk after these quick words. Stock it up for spring? Well, hey, Hy-Vee at Eau Claire has everything you need to fill your pantry, to pack up your freezer, and to get ready for, well, when the weather does get nicer, meals outside. From fresh cuts of meat and easy grill-ready favorites to frozen essentials, snacks, and quick weeknight dinners, Hy-Vee makes it simple to be prepared for whatever the season brings. Planning a backyard cookout? Hey, they've got the buns, the sides, and the flavors to make it easy. So stop on in today and stock up and save time and enjoy more moments around the table. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, where there is a helpful smile in every aisle. MLB.com has each team's biggest takeaway from the season's first week. What do they have to say for the Brew Crew? Well, they say so many of the good ingredients from last season are back. The Brewers didn't have a lot of position player turnover from last season, so maybe it's not surprising to see them playing such a familiar brand of offense. They lead the majors in stolen bases through the opening week by a wide margin, and that includes going 7 for 7 in Game 2 against the White Sox. After leading the NL in on-base percentage last year, they lead the majors so far this year. They're also tied for the Major League Baseball lead in runs scored. Though those elements all work together, of course, part of the Brewers' plan to, quote, drag opposing pitchers at every opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, you look at, they're stealing a bunch of bases. How about, by the way, too, the art of the perfect bunt. I don't know if anybody saw that yesterday, but Christian Yelich's bunt down the third base line, it was a work of art. It was beauty. I mean, just painting that line and staying there. So, I mean, you have your power guy willing to lay down a bunt, and it worked out perfectly. So I don't know. It's the little things like that when it comes to this offense that is really kind of standing out and such. It feels like different guys have been able to do different things and such. And then I mean, for crying out loud, Bowers, I thought it was kind of funny the one night. The ump, who actually was the ump that got dinged in the face mask yesterday, but said he didn't touch first. And what did he do yesterday? Forgot to touch seconds on Garrett Mitchell's double, so that's why he had to go back and touch it. And he was actually able to be safe at third for some unknown reason how that was able to happen and such. But it just feels like there's a lot of things working out right now for this. For this Brewers team, offensively and on the pitching side too.
They're doing the things that they did last year. I mean, I think Bryce Turang talked about it after last night. They just create havoc. And,
yeah.
I mean, Bryce Turang laid down a bunt in the 8th inning as well, and it wasn't as good as Yelich's, but the third baseman made an error.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you got 2 guys on now. So they do the little things right. They run the bases well, and they just, I mean, you can't keep track of where they are. So
yeah. Yeah, they're putting pressure on that defense and such, and I think I think it matches up in the Brewers' favor for a lot of teams. I mean, we saw was it Crawford, the shortstop or third base for the Rays, struggling with kind of. I mean, he would field the ball, but then his throws were completely off because of the speed of the Brewers, going down that first baseline. And, putting the pressure again on the defense to make the play. And maybe for a lot of other players, they're able to make that throw and such. But, Brew Crew just continued to pile on that pressure. And the mindset of, even getting late in these games when it's tied or they're behind, they don't really flinch. It almost feels like they feed off that, essentially. So
I think one difference about just the Brewers is, if you, let's say, watch the Mets play, Juan Soto hits a ground ball to third, he jogs.
Yeah.
Bryce Turang hits a ground ball to third, he's sprinting up that line because he knows he can get there.
Yeah.
And I think, like Caminero last night, I think he just was like, well, he may not be running hard, so I got time. Then all of a sudden, Bryce Turang's already there.
Yeah.
So just by doing that, it puts pressures on teams because they have to make a perfect throw and field it perfectly just to get an out.
Right. Yeah. Kevin, did I say Crawford? I meant Caminero. Thanks. That's why you're the intern, correcting me over there. So, but you're right. So, there's again not really a whole lot to complain about for the first 6 games. If you could find something to complain about, then I think, you're kind of grasping at straws here when it comes to the Crew. So there really isn't anything to have beef with at this point. So unless you got something, you can let us know. But if you had to narrow it down to just one thing that has maybe impressed you the most or been a nice, pleasant surprise for you, what has it been? Is it Joey Ortiz? Is it the pitching staff? Is it the bullpen? Is it maybe you're just, okay, here's one negative. Sal Frelick not hitting well right now. Yeah, I know. Believe me, my kid reminds me every single time he's up at this point. So he's got to get it into gear here too. So, but yeah, it's been fun baseball watching too. You know, watching these 6 games, watching this team go out there and do what they're doing. It's been a lot of fun to just kind of see them start. And you know, we know this. They're going to go through slumps, right? There's going to be weeks or there's going to be games. They're not going to win every single series. It'd be awesome if they could, but chances are it's not going to happen, and they're going to have rough times in that. And that's why I think when it comes to a baseball season, yeah, there's always another game right away, but enjoy the wins when they do happen because we know there's going to be those slumps coming.
Well, and after an 0-4 start to last year, this is sure better than that. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I hope nobody says, well, they won 97 games going 0-4 last year. That means they're not going to do it. No, just stop. That doesn't mean anything.
No, it means they won 5 more games this year, right? 102.
Yeah, exactly. So, got a few people say it's the bullpen that has impressed them the most. Jake says I'd have to go with the offense so far, being extra aggressive on the base pass and hitting timely hits, getting the runs across as well. So, yeah, there's a lot to like so far from this team. I guess from a Major League Baseball standpoint, if we look at it from across the league, you know, maybe it's a team like Boston who's only won 1 game so far. Boston was a team that a lot of people picked to go far or maybe go to the World Series this year. They're only 1-5 to begin the year. You've got, you know, Tigers 2-4. You've got the Mariners who are under 500. They're 3-4. How about the Marlins? Break them up. Everybody thought they'd be, you know, maybe the 4th best team in the NL East. They're 5-1. So, how about the Cubbies? 3. NL Central, though, if you look at it, I guess from this division, you know, between them and the NL East, they look like in the first week the 2 closest divisions because you've got Pittsburgh, the Reds, and the Cubs at 3-3. Cardinals are at 4-2. Brewers are at 5-1. Miami 5-1 in the NL East. Braves 3-2, and then Philly, Washington, and the Mets are also 3-3. So Central and East off to competitive starts so far. Maybe the best way to put that. So if we could get the Cubs down a little bit further, though, I'd be okay with that. So Cleveland, do your job coming up here, starting tomorrow. So, but keep these coming. Keep them coming. What's impressed you the most? Your first week impressions from the Brew Crew. Joe, definitely sounds better. Brandon says, good morning to the rest of us in the section 105. So that chat room's up and rolling here this morning. But going back to last night's game, or yesterday afternoon's game, just really quick before we have to take our final break for the first hour here. We've seen now 2 starts from Jacob Mizorowski, and I know we've talked a little bit about the Miz kid and such, but you look at what he has been able to do in his first 2 starts, and that's something that I was talking a little bit about yesterday with, you know, leading into the start. We know he's got all the talent in the world. We know he could potentially be like a Cy Young caliber pitcher in that, and he had a good opening day start. The main thing that I just want to see is the consistency factor for Miz. And I know it's only 2 starts, right? It's only just 2 games. And yes, he's going to have a game or maybe probably even a couple games where he's going to be down. But I think that's the biggest thing left for Mizorowski is to show that consistency. You know, I think we're all hoping that he could develop into the ace of the staff because he has the talent to do so. And when you think about an ace of the staff, we think about, okay, when it's that guy's turn in the rotation, you're feeling confident you're going to come away with a win. You know, whenever it's his turn, you're feeling like, okay, that's a win for us. I don't know if I'd put Mizorowski at that level yet, and I think it's just more so I want to see it on a consistent basis from him so far.
Yeah, it'd also be cool if he could take the ball every 5 days, kind of like Peralta. Mm-hmm. Obviously, pitchers get injured a lot, and with a guy that throws as hard as he does, he's likely to get injured at some point in his career. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw he had an IL stint last year. But like you said, the consistency to make the starts for me is big because he is our best pitcher right now. And so, and crazily, he's kind of got the second most experience also. So to be able to take the ball every 5 days is going to be big for this Brewers roster.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got to take another break, and we'll start to wrap up the first hour. All right, get your thoughts on in with the Brew Crew first week impressions. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Hey, sometimes accidents happen, but getting your vehicle back to normal doesn't have to be that stressful. At Superior Auto Body, they specialize in getting your vehicle looking right again after dents, dings, or collisions. And the best part, they handle the insurance process for you, working directly with your provider to make things simple and hassle-free. No runaround, no confusion, just quality of work and a team that's got your back every step of the way. Get your vehicle back on the road with confidence. Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, where the job gets done right. Excuse me. You know, we talk about the Brewers' offense putting pressure on the opposing defense. How about this little fun nugget from our friend Hunter Baumgart? The Brewers haven't committed a single error through their first 6 games of the season. That is a franchise record. The previous record was 5 games to start a season in the year of 2000. So we talk about, again, the offense putting the pressure on. We know the Brewers pride themselves on also playing some really good defense themselves. And, well, they have played some really good defense. They haven't shot themselves in the foot. They haven't, given an extra at-bat or anything like that. And when you look at the lineup and such, and, I mean, especially when you have Blake Perkins playing left field, who is a really good defensive outfielder, when you got him in left, you probably got a really good outfield with Garrett Mitchell or even Lockridge with his speed. Sal Frelick, we know what he does. I mean, the catch that he made the other night and such. We know Joey Ortiz is fantastic. We know Bryce Terang is fantastic. Whether it's been Hamilton or Luis playing over at third, that's just been, lights out over there too. So I think, of course, Contreras back there. I mean, it's been good on a lot of aspects. And Pat Murphy said this after the game yesterday too, what he liked about his team, or what his team maybe has learned over the first 6 games. He said, I like the education they're getting of if you put the ball on the ground sometimes and bunt or you're efficient stealing bases, it could cause some havoc. So I'm curious to see how this trend continues. I think they want to continue to do this, obviously, throughout this long season. But how do teams approach that then when they play the Brewers? It's an interesting thing because you only have like 3 games, 4 games and such. It's not like the NFL where you get a week to prepare for opponent and you game plan, right? I mean, baseball is like quick. And I'm just kind of curious to see how other teams prepare to go up against a Brewers team that likes to create havoc so far.
Well, and it's not like they bunt every play. I mean,
right.
What Garrett Mitchell, I think it was 112 off the bat, double down the line.
Yeah.
So they can put one perfectly down the third baseline on the chalk like Yelich did.
Yep.
But they can also hit it 112. So that range is so hard because you can't play in because you'll get killed, and you can't play back because they'll just bunt. So it's one of the hardest offenses to stop. And, we talk about power, and they may need it in the postseason, but regular season, it doesn't seem to be mattering that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, not often do you see, your third or fourth hitter like Yelich on any team that is going to go lead off the inning with a bunt right away, too, and catching people by surprise like that. I mean, it was just the absolute – if any coach wants to teach bunting, look at that one because that was like chef's kiss. It was just so perfect. Me and Hudson were like, just stay. Like it was great. And then the slow, it was perfect. It was awesome. So not often do you get excited about a bunt, but it was just like, yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. You talk about power and such. And right now, obviously, the Brewers are not the Angels or even the Pirates who lead the league in 10, but Brewers have 8. So they're top 5 right now in home runs when you look at it. So Houston has 9. Texas has 9. White Sox, Brewers, Mariners, Blue Jays next up with 8. So the thing is, I think with the Brewers, it's spread out. You got Bowers with 2. You got Gary Sanchez with 2. Yelly's got 1. Terang's got 1. Frelick's got 1. Andrew Vaughn? No, Andrew Vaughn doesn't have 1. Who else has 1? Contreras has the 1 on there too. So, it's spread out a little bit here. I don't think they'll finish top 5, but I wouldn't mind it if they finish top 5 in home runs and such. So, But your number one team in baseball for RBIs is the Milwaukee Brewers, the only team with over 40. They have 43. And you want to talk about being really patient at the plate, third. And this is all of Major League Baseball. This isn't just National League. Third in walks, too. So, I mean, looking at the strikeout numbers, and they're not striking out a lot. They're 23rd in strikeouts. I think Garrett Mitchell leads the team with 7 at this point. So, I mean, you look at, Angels have the most home runs and such, but they also have 80 strikeouts. That is the league leader. So kind of put that in perspective where the Brewers are at 47. The team that has struck out the least is Kansas City, which is the team that the Brewers are going to be coming up here this weekend. So, but, I mean, they're patient. They're not striking out a lot. They're stealing bases. The next closest is the Rockies at 10. I mean, there's just, a lot to like right now with this Brewers team, specifically on the offense. They're third in OPS in all of Major League Baseball. They're third in slugging percentage, for crying out loud. So, pitching-wise, they're third in total strikeouts. The only 2 teams ahead of them are Houston and Toronto. Opponent's batting average, they're 5th, just giving up a 200 average. What else do we, in terms of giving up home runs, they are third, so they have given up the home run ball quite a bit, or tied for second, excuse me. So they've got 11. The only other team with the most is the Astros at 12. So, but in terms of giving up hits, they're 26th, so only 39. But at least those home runs have usually been like solo shots.
Well, yeah, because they're in earned runs, they're 25th.
Right.
So
so it's been a lot of solo shots with that, which that's if you got to give them a home run, I'm fine with that. So, but league leaders in a lot of this stuff here, and it's cool to see. I know it's not going to probably last. The odds will probably kind of even out, but man, it's looking at walks issued here. So they're about middle of the pack. They're 21 in terms of middle of the pack, because they're tied for 14th. The league leader is the Angels at 39. Marlins have only issued 9 walks so far. That's probably why they're a big reason why they're 5-1 to begin the season. Brewers third and tied for third in strikeouts too. So, all right, we've got a few minutes left to the top. But what have been your first week impressions? What has kind of stood out to you? Have a little fun on some Overreaction Monday with us this morning. All right, so hit us up. Mark says that outfield Murph put out there yesterday, good luck trying to hit one into the cap on those. Exactly. It's like you have Perkins playing left, for crying out loud, Frelick and Mitchell, and et cetera. Yeah, you ain't getting anything by those guys. I mean, I saw that. I'm like, there's nothing hitting the gaps. There's just no. Good luck. You'd have to really tattoo something and hit it off the wall or something. But that's the flexibility they have now too. So
just wait till Cheerio gets back.
Well, that's the thing too, and it sounds like he might be back sooner rather than later. They're talking about middle April. So, and that's the thing too. You look at these offensive numbers, they're doing it without Jackson Cheerio. They're doing it without Andrew Vaughn. They've had to kind of fill in the gaps here a little bit. Obviously, Bowers has been picking up where he left off in spring, but you're talking about not doing it with Cheerio, who I think if you poll Brewers fans, they thought he might be their best offensive player. So you would think by just adding him in there, maybe the offense does continue with what they've been doing so far. I don't know, but it's been impressive. And I don't care if it's the White Sox or the Tampa Bay Rays. The Brewers are doing what you're supposed to do, taking care of business, right? Winning games that you're supposed to win, because what is something that pops up every year? They play down to their competition. Brewers have been taking care of business so far this year. So I don't care the quality of the opponent. They've been winning games, and that's the only thing that matters. And they've been winning with some good numbers, too. So, that Yankees ERA, holy moly, 1.01. Yikes. Brewers 2.83. Braves, that makes sense. Mets, okay. Dodgers, and then Miami. Huh. All right, we're going to switch gears coming up in the next hour. We'll chat a little draft, since we're 3 weeks away from that. Kind of continue to look at a couple prospects for the green and gold that could be out there for day 2. But continue to send us your Brewers thoughts. Don't forget, it is also a Takeover Thursday. So if you have a topic that you'd like to throw out for discussion, let us know. All right, send it on over. So we'll get to that. We got a little enough is enough. What's the sports narrative? What's the sports take? What's the sports thought that is kind of out there where you're just like, enough is enough with this? So we'll get to those throughout the rest of this morning. And if you have any hunting or fishing related questions, don't forget Jake Boakes will be joining us here at 8:30. So if you have any questions maybe for the upcoming spring turkey season or next month's fishing opener, please send those on over right now so we can get those on over to Jacob. So, but yeah, we got that. We'll throw a little hoops chat in there too, even though just 6 games left, but we got some Final Four stuff to talk about, and as we get set for that coming up this weekend. So, yeah, not a whole lot to talk about with the Bucks at this point. So, well, I don't think anybody really cares about the Bucks at this point. 6 games left to go. I don't think we're going to see Giannis suit up again. So I think that ship has sailed at this point. So you haven't really had anybody talking about it. I think it's just kind of like nobody cares anymore.
I think Doc was like, he's actually hurt, and everyone's like, oh wait.
Yeah. So, but all right, shot clock's gonna cut me off, so we'll take a quick break. We got some news updates, and we'll be back to kick off the second hour coming up after these quick words. All right, second hour, kick it off right now on this rainy, freezing rain start to your Thursday morning. Be careful out on the roads. I know we have a lot of school closings and delays. If you want to check to see if your school is one of them, you can head on over to WEAU 13 News for the latest school closings and delays brought to you by ServiceMaster and Hovlands. I know Eau Claire School District, spring break this week, but still got plenty of other schools who are in session, so may want to double check that if you are just waking up and such. And if you haven't stepped out outside, be careful, especially if you have a wooden deck. Trust me, I know. I have heard from this morning, so it's a little bit slippery, especially if you got to take a dog out and such. So, but we spent the first hour talking some Brew Crew as the Brewers picking up another win yesterday. They have now began their season, first weekend of this season. They are 5-1. So what are your first week impressions for the Brew Crew? Let us know. Hit us up with a thought. 715-830-1912. We'll take your thoughts there. Brewers have the off day today before taking on the Kansas City Royals starting tomorrow. So shall we say, the American League tour continues. Got Royals and then the Red Sox before they return home to take on the Washington Nationals next week. So, but plenty more Brewers talk coming your way. We're going to talk with Jake Boakes coming up here in about an hour and a half. So if you have any hunting, fishing related questions, please send those on over to the Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Got the Section 105 chat also up and rolling on YouTube this morning, so you can join the crew over there. Coming up in a little bit, it is also quickly a Takeover Thursday, so if you have a topic that you'd like to throw out for everybody to discuss, we're taking those. And it is also Enough is Enough Thursday. So what's the sports narrative or take or story where you're just like, man, enough is enough with that? We've got intern Carter also joining us here this morning. We're going to get to a little Packers draft countdown, take a look at a couple of prospects here momentarily, but owners meetings and such, wrapping up this week and all that. And now probably Goody and the rest of the GMs are anxious to get back to some draft prep because we are 3 weeks from today when that first round of the NFL draft will kick off. And we know that Green Bay does not have a pick. They probably won't have a pick unless they surprise a lot of people and move up into the first round. But I would probably say that that's not going to happen. So still feel like it's been kind of quiet leading up to this draft, and we are 3 weeks away from today with that first round. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just because we got a lot of other things going on. But it seems like it's for all compared to whatever else the NFL does, feels like it's kind of quiet. So.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, you haven't heard much about, I'm usually getting feeds of mock drafts on my phone, and not this year. So I don't know why. I think some of it may be you got March Madness, you had the World Baseball Classic, you have the start of baseball. So it's all kind of compounding. But yeah, it's crazy to think that the draft's in 3 weeks. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just unfairly comparing it to last year because it was in Green Bay and we were going over there too. So like the anticipation level was pretty high and such. But I don't know. It just and maybe it's just because again Green Bay doesn't have a first round pick, so maybe it kind of diminishes it a little bit. I don't know, but it feels like it's a little quiet, which I'm okay with. I love the draft, but there's a lot of stuff going on here too. So if it was pretty quiet where there wasn't anything going on, then it'd be like, okay. But no, I'm okay with it. So when we get a little bit closer to the draft and such, we'll kind of really focus in on it. But we were doing some countdowns and kind of some preview stuff. So I've been picking some players that have been with all these mock drafts that are out there because everybody does a mock draft and such. But I've been kind of, looking at some of them and getting an idea of where people are mocking some of these players. And I'm like, okay, we'll kind of maybe look at a couple of those each day and do they fit? Could that be a potential target for Green Bay? And right now, really focusing on corner and defensive line. I feel like those are probably the two biggest positions that Green Bay might address. But again, it is Green Bay. Would it surprise anybody if they draft an offensive lineman? Probably not. So don't be surprised with whatever they decide to draft at this place. But a couple more names that I saw kind of popular, either Green Bay drafting or maybe right around where Green Bay could draft. They wouldn't have to go far, and one of the guys that's popped up in Green Bay they've drafted quite a few dudes from Iowa over the years, and this would be at Iowa State, but Dominique Orange, this massive defensive tackle, and again, if you want like really, really great draft breakdowns and profiles, especially like later picks, Lance Zierlein from NFL.com is awesome at draft profiles and such. But what he has to say about Dominique is that Orange is a sturdy nose tackle capable of muddying the middle of the field with his first step quickness and take on power. His reaction time makes it hard to reach and block him in zone, and he has the anchor to play landlord over the A-gaps against double teams. He gets bounced around on contact, but is excellent in recovery and winning the final phase of the rep. Orange is a non-factor as a pass rusher, but his value versus the run should attract teams. Now, you look at his next-gen stats and his scores and that, they're not the greatest. Athleticism score, though, of all defensive tackles, he was 8th. Production score, 23rd. Overall total score, 15th. But if I'm looking at a defensive lineman right now for Green Bay, I kind of want a prototypical nose tackle that's going to be in there to eat up some of those gaps, to eat up some of those offensive linemen, to help stop the run, for crying out loud. Because I feel like Hargrave and Devontae Wyatt, if we again look at a base 3-4, they're going to be your ends in a 3-4. So I want a dude in the middle that's going to, help stop that run, not necessarily go after the quarterback. And I like a lot of that stuff that he potentially could bring to the table here.
Well, he's got quickness, and that's something that Hargrave likely won't have this year just because of his age. So to have one with quickness and one with just strength, is a good complement to each other.
Yeah. And, to me, one of the interesting things for where Green Bay decides, because I feel like they're going to address defensive line, it's just the big question is when. Because Tom Silverstein earlier in the week noted that Green Bay may be trying to re-sign Carl Brooks on the defensive line. And Carl Brooks, went off on a really good couple years. His rookie year was off to a good start. Last year was not a good season. But Carl Brooks is more of a pass rushing defensive lineman too. And one of the names that, at least I didn't see it, maybe I missed it, that Tom noted or didn't note in there in line for extensions. He mentioned Watson. He mentioned Tucker Kraft. He even mentioned Jaden Reed as a possibility. He mentioned Carl Brooks. Devontae Wyatt's name wasn't listed on there. And Devontae Wyatt is a better pass rusher defensive lineman too. So I don't know if that's, let's take it for word here. Is that the thought that maybe they could get by cheaper by Brooks instead of Wyatt? And Brooks has been healthier than Devontae Wyatt over the last couple of years too. I think Wyatt is more talented and such, but is that going to be something where they opt to go for health, consistency, cheaper and such? And if that's the case, well, maybe they look at other defensive linemen instead of just nose tackles and such. But I think right now when you look at it from a starting lineup standpoint, who is this nose tackle? I don't think I'm not sold on Nazir Stackhouse. Colby Wooden's traded. He was their best one, but I wouldn't even put him as a 3-4 nose tackle. So I think they got to go and get a massive body up front.
Yeah, I'm interested for the draft in the sense that they have several holes to fill. And nose tackle is one of them. And I'm interested to see, like, second pick, they have, like, 4 positions of need. Which one do they go with?
Right.
And which one could they possibly fill with free agency? I'm definitely interested to see if, like you said, if defensive tackle is the first pick. And I think somebody that can just stop the run and because when you get Micah Parsons back, he makes everybody better. We saw that with Gary last year in the pass rush. So the ability to stop a run for a defensive tackle is going to be massive for the Packers this year.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So, but and the other part in this too is going to be, does Green Bay invest early on a, because we've seen them, like TJ Slayton wasn't an early pick, and he was kind of their run stopper from a couple years ago. But then I look back to BJ Raji in the 2009 draft, top 10 pick and such, and it's a vital part to this defense. And I'm just curious to how early they would potentially address that position, because I think they need to, and I think we saw last year the running defense or run defense struggling at times too. So the other side, let's go to a corner for this one, and we're going to go with Traydon Stukes from Arizona. Now, depending on, I've seen him listed as a safety, I've seen him listed as a corner. This one would be interesting because he is a 6-year senior, but he's a team captain. And I bring him up because the safety corner hybrid, everything we hear about Jonathan Gannon talks about, he likes to play those three safeties, or he likes, he loves his safeties, if you will. And is that something that would potentially be of interest, to have that versatility, like a big nickel or maybe a split safety type of move? And you look at his size, he's 6'1", he's a $190. I think we all know they probably need a boundary corner, and it feels like this is kind of where he maybe lacks a little bit in man coverage. Well, this is what Lance had to say. He said, 6-year senior, team captain, who went from walk-on to unquestioned leader of this defense. He combines his infectious passion with hours of preparation that allow him to play fast. He communicates well from zone and works quickly from route to route. He has work to do in man coverage, but possesses an excellent feel for disrupting catch points at optimal angles despite a lack of ideal length. He's an older prospect, and he has an ACL tear in his background in 2024, but the football has a magnetic pull for him. Coaches will love his football character and versatility as a big nickel or split safety. I like that. Captain, passion, leader, the communication thing, because I think that was something we brought up quite a bit last year, where there a lack of communication in the secondary and such. But the fact that maybe he's not just a straight-up, full-on boundary corner gives me a little bit of pause as a potential option.
Well, and as long as he can tackle, I mean, right now it's better than the options we have. But he's got the experience as a 6-year senior, and he seems to play with a passion for the sport of football. And the Packers need somebody like that. They need somebody to be able to come in, watch a lot of film. They need somebody who can recognize a screen just from the combination of routes. They need somebody who puts the work in off the field.
Yeah. You know what he kind of almost reminds me of a little bit, just from reading that? Maybe a little Micah Hyde-ish kind of player. Safety, corner, hybrid, really excelled more at the safety spot and such. And I know they're suited at safety right now, but he kind of began Green Bay with that nickel type of role and such. So, but kind of that leader in that. I mean, I'm watching the clip that you have up there. His 40 was a 4.34, so he obviously has some decent straight line speed to go with it too. So, but yeah, we keep hearing about this versatility of this defense. It's not just a straight 3-4. There's going to be elements of this, and that. Well, do you need more guys then that are versatile to fit that style of defense? I don't know. And, I think the curious thing to me is going to be the corner, how they view it. And I know they picked up a corner in the offseason, but do they still continue to have Javon Bullard as their slot? He was a really good nickel corner, but if they want to play three safeties, does he get pulled away from that? Or do they go with a guy like this guy and maybe put that into the equation? I don't know, but the versatility is intriguing.
I think how they grade him will matter, whether they grade him as a safety or as a corner, just because we need a corner. Mm-hmm. We could use a safety, but I think we're more set at safety than corner. So if they see him as a safety, and they think they need a corner, they may go with just a regular corner. But like you said, the versatility is there.
All right.
So if he can play safety and corner, like, take him all day.
And it wasn't that long ago, Javon Bullard drafted as a safety, but they've converted him kind of to that nickel corner. But maybe that's what they like, the versatility. They like it with their offensive linemen. Maybe they want it with their safeties too. I don't know. But Evan Williams has played a little bit like that too. So we'll see. But those are just a couple of dudes kind of looking at. And we got, I mean, obviously the thing with rounds 2 and 3, there's a lot of players to choose from. It's a little different than first round and such, because I think when you get to day 2, some of those guys that are mocked in the 3rd round could be second rounders, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And we see it all the time at this point. So, and I'm just waiting for, like, who's that guy? Because I haven't heard it. We talk about, how it's been quiet. Usually we hear about a guy that is just, like, exploding up the draft boards. Sometimes it's quarterback. And I know the whole Simpson thing with Orlovsky started to, but you really haven't heard, like, the Will Levis. Remember the whole Will Levis thing? Or, like, last year was Shador and all that sort of stuff. And, heck, even Patrick Mahomes, leading up to the draft wasn't mentioned as a first round. Then he really skyrocketed up draft. You haven't really heard that about a guy this year, I don't think.
And maybe that's why the draft doesn't have as much anticipation, just because you don't have that person. I mean, even last year with Shador, it was Nick Emanwari,
right,
who had that crazy combine. And that really wasn't a factor this year, so it's interesting.
Right. All right, we got to take a quick break. Back with plenty more, though, coming up after these quick words. Road trip season is right around the corner. Are you and your vehicle ready to go the distance? Before you hit the highway, make sure that your vehicle is in top shape with the help from AJM Automotive. From oil changes and tire checks to brakes and engine work, their experienced team will make sure that you're ready for wherever the road takes you. And now, with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire, getting your vehicle serviced has never been easier. Plan a trip. AJM Automotive will handle the rest. Visit ajmautomotiveservices.com to schedule your appointments. Hoops-wise, Bucks last night's falling to the Houston Rockets. No surprise with that, but just 6 more games we have to go through this thing. Bucks are 30-46, and tomorrow they get to play the Boston Celtics. So, makes it a lot easier there, too. They've got the Grizzlies coming up on Sunday, and Nets next Tuesday, Pistons next Wednesday, Nets next Friday, and then the season wraps up Sunday, April 12th, taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. So just 6 more to go in this, what I think is probably going to be this upcoming offseason, the most, how do I want to say this, franchise-altering potentially offseason for the Bucks, because we know one of 2 things is going to happen, or we know 2 things are going to either happen. It's Giannis is going to stay, or he's gone. It's already out there. We know he's going to be there, or we know he's going to be gone. And if he's going to be there, then I think, okay, this is a team that still is going to try to build around him to win. If not, they can try to sell it as much as they want when they trade him and say, we're not rebuilding, we're kind of retooling sort of thing. You're rebuilding. That's exactly what you're doing. So we're either going to go back to the doldrums and such and have to wait a few years, or it's almost kind of status quo at this point when they bring Giannis back.
Yeah, I think the hard part is he can't sign his extension until October. Mm-hmm. So they have to trust him to be a man of his word if he says he'll sign. And I don't know if we can do that at this point, but I don't know. I think seeing what draft position may help.
Yeah.
I mean, getting Giannis's brother Alex to score may have helped. I don't know, but it's interesting.
I don't know if the brother thing, so it's like Thanasis, who is like involved, like he's really implemented himself into the Milwaukee community. Is he going to just follow Giannis wherever? I mean, no offense, but if Giannis isn't with the Bucks, Thanasis probably shouldn't be with the Bucks either.
Yeah, nor should Alex.
Yeah. So it's like, is it going to be a family affair for wherever he goes? You might as well just trade those 3 to whoever and such. But again, as a fan, I want Giannis to stay because it makes the Bucks relevant. It really does. And it's just, I don't know what the pitch is going to be. I don't know what you pitch him. What do you say in this offseason? Or maybe you don't have to. Maybe he's still just, it doesn't matter to him. I don't know. But it's going to be constantly talked about and speculated and such. They're still apparently on the mothership still talking about where LeBron's going to be playing next year. I feel like the Bucks one and Giannis is more bigger than LeBron at this point.
Well, Giannis is going to have a bigger impact wherever he goes than LeBron's going to.
So with the Bucks not in the postseason, can you get on? Are we all going to just root for the Timberwolves? Can we do that?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem rooting for the Timberwolves. Mm-mm. I mean, they're in the 6th spot right now. Looks like they're going to finish at least in the top 6. It's not clinched yet, but if that were to be the case, they would take on the Lakers. That'd be a fun first-round series. You look at outside. I mean, you look at the top 6. Can you make a case? I mean, Timberwolves weren't that far off that long ago from getting to the finals. Rockets, I think they're playing a little bit down than what they expected this year with the addition of KD. It's a good reminder. Additions don't always mean you're automatic win, like going to be the best, right? Look at look at Orlando, for crying out loud, for what they traded for last offseason to try to, and they're really struggling and such. But, and this is the thing that bugs me. Look at the Warriors. Steph Curry. You don't hear the same talk about Steph Curry like you do for Giannis. You don't hear that same stuff. Like Steph Curry should leave. Like the Warriors should trade Steph Curry. They should do this. Is it because he's just won multiple championships there? And it's solidified
I also think he's in a bigger market where ESPN kind of wants him out of Milwaukee just because he's in Milwaukee. I think championships would help keep Giannis there, obviously, but I think that is more of why.
It wasn't that long ago where like the Warriors were like the third, fourth fiddle in the state of California, though, too.
That's true.
Because you had, Lakers, obviously, nobody's going to beat that.
Yeah.
Kings, when they were relevant, this was long ago, late 90s with, Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, and all that. Clippers just stunk there. And then the Warriors were just bad. But it turned around when Steph got there. And they kind of, switched their fort, obviously bringing in Steve Kerr in that too. So, but, I mean, when you think about a California basketball team, it's still going to be Lakers. I think you ask a lot of people where the Warriors from, they may not know. They just know it's California. But, like, what city? You know what I mean? Like, well, what's Golden State's? What's California? That sort of thing. But, no, it does. I mean, let's be real, though, too. It's still a bigger size market there, too. But, the thing is, let's say Giannis has won 3 championships with the Bucks. Is it still talked about as much?
I don't think so, because I think Giannis would be quicker to shut it down. I think part of the reason is how long was it at the beginning of this year when he just stayed silent and all his teammates were answering for him?
Yeah.
I don't know if Steph Curry would let that happen, to be honest with you.
That's true.
So, maybe part of this is on Giannis, trying to create a little bit of drama. But again, we've won 1 championship, and as a player, you want to win as many as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't see any way, and I don't see any way they could win next year, then he's got to make a business decision. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. So, NBA-wise standings, if you are kind of paying attention to where everything is at here with just about a week left of games, a little less than 2 weeks and such. 3 teams in the East have clinched spots. We know the 10 that are in there, but 3 have clinched at least in the top 6. That's where there is still some uncertainty. Detroit, Boston, New York. Cleveland, Atlanta, and Philadelphia round out the top 6, but Toronto is right there. They're 42 and 34, the same record as Philadelphia. The Hornets, for crying out loud, is just if Khan. I know Cooper's probably, but I'm sorry, Khan to me should get Rookie of the Year. For the Hornets to be in the playoff chase and such, the fact that they're now favored by double digits in some of these games is pretty amazing. So, Orlando, as we mentioned, they're not playing up to their expectations that we all thought. And then you have Miami sitting at 40 and 37. So, still could be some movement within those teams. In the West, Oklahoma City Thunder has clinched their division. By the way, in the East, nobody has clinched besides the Pistons, have clinched their division. OKC has clinched their division. San Antonio's clinched their division. The Lakers have clinched their division. Denver has clinched a playoff spot. And then it's just between Houston, Minnesota, and Phoenix between 5 and 6 for those final 2 spots because the Clippers, Portland, and Golden State have clinched just play-in berths at this point. So still some potential movement around there, but Eastern Conference has the potential for a lot more movement because Miami's in that 10th spot, and they're just 2.5 back from Philadelphia for that 6th spot. So
I will say it's a joke that the Warriors can make the playoffs with a losing record. And I get the play-ins, not the playoffs, but they're playing meaningful games.
Yeah. That used to be the Eastern Conference for the longest time. Eighth seeds would get in under 500, and sometimes they were the Bucks at that point too. So, but that's the thing too. It's like you look at some of these play-in teams. I don't know. You know what's kind of funny is like you look at Phoenix, who moved on from KD, right? 42 and 34. Houston added him. They're not that far off, just a few games difference. And actually, Houston's gone down compared to last year, standings wise. So,
Kevin Durant's career arc is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, he's one of the most talented shooters and players of all time. But to me, when that KD career is done, I'm really curious again, he'll go down as one of the best players of all time, but you look at where did he win his championships?
Golden State.
It was Golden State with Steph Curry and those teams. Maybe that says more about the type of player Steph Curry and Steve Kerr is as a coach. You know what I mean? Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. College hoops, we've got the Final Four coming up. How's your bracket looking?
Not good, but it's fun.
I got all my Final Four teams.
Nice. Yeah, UConn. Yeah, pulling it out.
UConn. I had Illinois going, Michigan, Arizona. Now, it won't mean anything if UConn and Arizona lose, because then I won't have a championship team. So
I have Arizona winning it all, so that's all I want at this point.
yeah, but I want some good games now. I don't really care. I just want, really classic, like that UConn Duke final. By the way, Duke, what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing? The guy was open. You had two guys open. Come on. That's the worst thing you could do on a press is panic. Is panic if you have the ball but I was okay with that.
Back-to-back years for Duke.
You look at the amount of talent Duke has had over the last few years. You've seen that graphic probably on social media of like all the like NBA players. And when was the last time they went to a championship?
It's been a long time, and I think it's because they never had a veteran. Look at the teams in the Final Four. They have their star freshmen, but they also have experienced seniors, except Arizona. But Arizona's got Jane Bradley, one of the best point guards, and he's a fifth-year senior. Duke had none of that. I really believe that's why they've lost back-to-back years. They don't know how to finish games because they're freshmen.
Yep. If UConn goes to the championship, you look at the run that they've had the last few years. As much as Dan Hurley is a lightning rod and can we use the word controversial coach and such, you look at that run, though, and considering the current state of college basketball, is that one of the most impressive runs of all time? From a consistency point, I mean, 2 championships. Fell short last year in was it Final Four? They were in the Final Four last year? Was it Sweet? I'll have to double check. Or whatever it was, Final Four this year and such. But you look at this run, I mean, don't have to like the guy, but was it? Oh, second round. They lost the second round to Florida. Okay, that's right. My bad. But, okay, so 3 of the 4 past years, Final Four, right? 2 national championships. So that's a pretty darn impressive run.
Well, and with this roster, this is the most impressive just because he didn't go dip into the transfer portal. He kind of kept it homegrown, and they're not the most talented roster. So, I mean, where does this put Dan Hurley on all-time coaches at this point?
If he wins another championship this year, that's going to put him up on that pedestal.
Yeah.
And we don't have to like him. And I will say this. This actually is my enough is enough. I know everybody's talking about him with the like headbutting the official and such. Enough's enough with his. Did you hear his excuse?
Yeah, trying to chest bump.
He thought the ref was going to chest bump him. Dude, no.
If a ref ever tries to chest bump you,
that
he's
ref
losing
should
his
be
job.
fired.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There's no official that should be chest bumping a coach because of a great shot or a great play. No, because if that were the case, that official probably knows he's going to be fired or like never going to be officiating a UConn game or something like that. Hurley said, quote, really at that point in the game, we had it won, and the official is such an easy guy to work with during the game that I thought he was coming over to chest bump me to celebrate the shot. First of all, if I'm chest bumping somebody, I'm not lowering my head. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not lowering my head to touch the other guy's forehead and such. So I don't doubt, like, I think he was wound up and pumped and, like how some guys get, the chest bump excuse. No.
I would love to hear the ref's side of this.
He said something, and where was it at? Oh, so Seth Greenberg said he spoke with the official. Is it Ayers? Is that how you pronounce his last name? He said that nothing happened with Hurley, and he said that he literally didn't know what they were talking about, and said the interaction with Hurley was absolutely nothing. So, the chest bump thing is such a lame reason.
It's almost like you couldn't come up with something better,
right?
Like,
yeah, man.
I think for me though, just going back to UConn, I mean they got upset by Marquette.
At the end of the season.
On March 7th.
Yeah.
Then they got killed by St. John's in the Big East tournament by 20. Weren't even close in that game. And now they're in the Final Four. So just able to take a team coming off a 20-point loss to a team you already beat by 32 to a Final Four while beating one of the best teams in the country is incredible to me.
Yep. I would agree. All right, we got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though, coming up after these few words. Spring is here, and that means it's the perfect time to freshen up your home. At Carpet City Flooring Center, now is the season to take a look at what's under your feet and imagine what it could be. From soft, comfortable carpet that makes any room feel cozier to luxury vinyl planks and tile built for busy homes. There's something for every space, every budget, and every lifestyle. Maybe it's one room that needs a refresh, or maybe it's time for a full home update. Either way, their team is there to help guide you through it all, from choosing the right style to professional installation that you can count on. Because spring isn't just about cleaning out the old, it's about bringing in something new, something better, a brighter space, a cleaner look, and a home that feels new again. So if you're ready to upgrade this season, stop on in and see what's possible. Carpet City Flooring Center, where your next project starts from the floor up. If you're just joining in and such, we're going to get back to some more Brewers talk coming up in the next hour. The Brew Crew have the off day today before taking on the Kansas City Royals for their first road trip of the season. But with 1 week of the season already in the books, what are your first impressions for the Milwaukee Brewers so far this season? All right, send those on over. Also, it is a Takeover Thursday, so if you have a topic in mind on a Takeover Thursday, send it on over. All right, send it on over. One of intern Carter's was, who do you think the next, or who should be the next Brewers player extended and such? Were you a little surprised with the Cooper Pratt signing, the 8-year deal and such?
Yeah, I did not see that coming. I kind of, I expected other players, kind of like Fisher or Monahan. I get that's early to extend them, but I kind of expect them to wait and then those guys be the first ones. I haven't really heard a lot from Pratt. Like he wasn't Churio, as hyped as Churio. They got him for cheap, so it makes a little bit of sense. But I really think they're preparing for life without Bryce DeRay. And so it was just interesting. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's next, kind of a thing. So
yeah. You kind of look at it. Is there a pitcher? Like I think everybody looks at Mizorowski as a guy to do that, but then you're kind of in the whole, would Mizorowski want to do that? And maybe wait it out, and then he can really, kind of cash in sort of thing. Because I almost feel like if they're going to do that kind of deal, it's somebody in the minor leagues right now. I don't know if it's somebody with the big league club, or if it's somebody with the big league club, it's somebody who's just still raw. Like when Freddie Peralta did that, he was just still kind of raw. Same with Aaron Ashby and that. So maybe it's a Chad Patrick, maybe
like Kyle Harrison kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly, like Kyle Harrison and that. So, position player wise, I think, is it fair to say in 3 years, 2029, is the infield going to look like Fisher at third, Cooper Pratt at short, Jesus at second, Brock Wilken at first, and Jet Williams is like an outfielder now? Left fielder or something? I don't know. Because not all those guys could play at the major league level at the same spot. It surprised me because I think a lot of us assumed Cooper Pratt was probably going to be the odd man out. And maybe be like a trade bait or something, especially after they acquired Jet Williams and that. And the emergence now of Fisher, especially because you could say, well, Jet could play third. He might play third quicker than Fisher, but I don't know from a long-term aspect. I kind of want to see what Fisher brings, and Brock Wilken's a third baseman too, but maybe he could go over to first. There's options.
Yes. I think they have to try Jet Williams in the outfield, though.
Yeah.
Because just looking at our outfield depth, there's not a ton of it.
Yeah.
So
could that be like an Isaac Collins situation sort of thing? But yeah, where's Jet Williams mostly played so far this year? Let me bring it up here. So he's played in, he's had 20 at-bats, but how many games has he played so far? He's played in 5 games, so fielding-wise, 2026. He's 3 at short, 2 at third, so all right. Hasn't gotten any outfield time yet this year. He did play a total of, so in 2023, he played 21 games in center field, it looks like. 2025, he played 27 games in center field. All right, maybe. I mean, if you could play center field, you could play left, I would think. right?
Yeah.
You could do that. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious if they maybe start to give him more reps in the outfield and such. But we got to play a little catch up. So we do have to take another break here as we start to wrap up the second hour and hit halftime here this morning. So we'll get back to more Brewers talk coming up in the next hour. We got Jake Boakes joining us at 8:30 to answer your outdoor related questions. So continue to send those on over. And I do want to have a little fun topic coming up here a little bit. What is some of the craziest items that you would ever add to your sports collection? What's the crazy? Has anybody got something crazy out there that they want to share? Because there's a reason I'm bringing this up. What's like the line for you to add something to your collection? All right, we'll hit that up coming up in a little bit too. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Looking for the perfect place to kick back this spring and summer? Well, then you need to head on over to the VFW Post 305, Eau Claire's go-to spot to relax, grab a beverage, and enjoy the moment. Inside, it's a great place to meet up with friends, but when the weather warms up, it's all about the patio. With one of the best river views in town, there's no better place to soak up the sunshine, unwind after work, or spend a weekend afternoon. Cold drinks, great people, and a view that you can't beat. VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire, your spot to hang out this season. So I'll set it up here. We got just a couple minutes left till the top of the hour here, so I'll set this up. But yesterday I had seen this. Big Cat from Barstool Sports. Don't know if anybody kind of follows or knows, but and we've seen other stadiums do this where they'll sell off. If they're like remodeling, they'll sell off some. Packers have done it with some of their bleachers and chairs or such. I know I feel like how many people I almost like know hundreds of people who have a Metrodome seats, I swear. But the Buffalo Bills were selling some of their troughs from the bathrooms in there. So he bought one. To the point, I'm like, okay, what's the crazy? I got to know if somebody has something crazy in their sport, or where's the line that you would put something in your collection? Like, where's the line? Because I'll be honest with you. I said 100%. I think I'm there. Lambeau Field had a urinal. I might add it to my man cave, a Lambeau Field one. So I got to know if somebody has anything crazy like that. But a trough, I don't know if I can do a trough. That's a little weird with that. But everybody's got, like, seats and such. So I got to know, like, what's the craziest thing? Or where's the line for you? Like chewed gum from Bart Starr or something like, because I'm sure you could find stuff like that on eBay. Or like there's even cards now where you can find like a lock of hair from a president. It's just kind of weird, I feel like. Yeah. Although you're also talking to the guy who bought something that was a Vince Lombardi handwritten letter, and I bought it. Like, they cut out words. So I bought that because I knew I wasn't ever going to be able to afford his actual autograph and such. So that's the closest I'll ever get to a Lombardi thing. So, although I will say there is like Lombardi cards too that cut up like his jacket and such. I'd like that. That'd be sweet. But I don't know if I could do a trough. A urinal from Lambeau, I think I could do though. But I gotta know if there's anybody who has something like absolutely crazy as part of their sports collection. I gotta know. There's got to be somebody out there that has just something crazy. Would you do a trough?
No.
Would you do a urinal?
I would think about it.
Okay. I'd have a plumber actually like hook it up for me.
Yeah.
Not just have it like sit there. I'd want it functioning, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I could get away with a trough though. Not that. So, but I'm looking for like the craziest, weird stuff. Because we could go down a rabbit hole. I might do that during the news update, see what we can find on eBay. So, all right, shot clock's right there. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, halftime is over with. We are on to the third quarter, the third hour on this Thursday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. No matter where you're listening to us from or how you are listening to us at the bottom of the hour, we're going to catch up with Jake Bilks. So final call for any questions or second to final call that you have for any questions for Mr. Jake Bilks, Conservation Warden. Be joining us at 8:30 to answer all of your outdoor-related questions. So please send those on over right now so we can get those to Jake. 715-830-1912. What else do we have? We're going to talk some Brewers coming up here. We're looking for your first week impressions from the Brewers, right? Just one weekend. Have a little fun on an overreaction overreaction Thursday, 1 week into the season here. So I think there's more to like about what we've seen so far from the Brew Crew, right? I think that's fair to say. So what's really maybe kind of stood out to you, or what have you been the most impressed with so far from the crew? A lot of you, I should say a lot, but it's probably about mixed between pitching and offense, which I think is probably, I mean, you could make the case for all of them. So, but if you got anything else that you'd like to add in there, want to be a little different, go ahead and shoot that over. No game today for the Brew Crew as they're traveling, and they'll be taking on the Kansas City Royals starting tomorrow as their American League swing still continues. They'll be back at AmFam Field next week. So 3 games against the Royals, then 3 games against the Red Sox, and then they'll welcome the Nationals to town next week. So, let's talk some more Brewers as we get things kicking off here in this third hour this morning. So we've talked a lot already in the first hour about, some of the offensive players like Bryce Terang and, you mentioned Joey Ortiz and the start that he's on, Garrett Mitchell, and kind of what he has done so far at this point. Yep, you got Sal Frelick, my guy, off to a little bit of a slower start. Contreras has the home run, but just 217. But if you had to pick who, like, of all the maybe players that are hitting it pretty well, we'll throw in Mitchell, Bowers, Yelich, Lockridge, Terang. Sanchez only has 6 at-bats, but he does have 2 home runs on there. Has there been one guy you've been most impressed with so far to begin this season?
I think it is Joey Ortiz, just because of how bad he looked last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his first year he played third, obviously, after getting him in the Burns trade, and he looked formidable. And then last year it looked awful, and he's back to looking formidable again. He looks like he could be a shortstop that can hold down the position for a couple more years. And his chase rate's gone down. He's only got 4 strikeouts. He's got 18 at-bats. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard. Mm-hmm. He's doing things right, whereas last year he wasn't.
And I keep going back. Now, this might not be fair, but, Bryce Terang was hitting so well in the WBC. And he's kind of picked up where he's left off, but the man's got 4 doubles so far this season. Picked up his first home run yesterday. Just a couple stolen bases so far for him, but 4 walks on there too. He just seems to be clicking right now. Like, the confidence is oozing, but I might go Yelly a little bit here. 381 and 21 at-bats, just 1 home run. He's leading the team in RBIs with 7. He does have 7 strikeouts on there too, but I might go a little bit of Yelly just to be different to open up the season here, because that's what we need from a guy who's going to bat in the third or the cleanup spots.
Well, and not play defense. I mean, that's his goal, is just to hit. And if he can still produce at the plate, I mean, he kind of, like we were talking about a couple weeks ago, he's the face of the team because he's paid to be the face of the team. So he better produce because he's still on a extremely high contract for Brewers standards.
I'm going to go honorable mention. Average-wise, it's nothing to really, write home about, OPS and that. But Hamilton is showing off when he does get on base. Mm-hmm. He's a threat on there. I mean, in just 12 at-bats, he's got 4 walks. He's credited with 4 walks. So he's credited with 12 at-bats, but he's got 4 walks. He's already got 4 stolen bases on this. That leads the team for a guy who's a part-time player right now. And we knew about his speed coming in and the threat, and it feels like whenever if he gets on, whenever that's the case, it's going to turn a single into a double at this point. And to have that type of threat, depending on where he's going to be batting and such, I mean, that is such a huge bonus to have on the base pads. I mean, this Brewers team is just stealing left and right. I mean, you got Bowers with a couple stolen bases, for crying out loud. I mean, it's like everybody is getting a steal. Besides, well, Gary Sanchez will never steal. Andrew Vaughn will never steal, and I don't think Contreras would either. Sal Frelick's got to get on base before he could actually steal some bags on this thing too. So, but Hamilton, I think, 167 is nothing to brag about, but he has shown when he does get on base, he's going to steal some bags.
He's a Brewers type of player, and I mean, coming in, we knew he wasn't great at hitting, but I mean, he's got 2 more hits than Durbin has all year, so.
Oh, there you go. There's the comparison. Yeah. So Durbin's probably got more ABs, right? I would imagine. So, yeah, I guess I haven't even thought of what is Caleb Durbin doing this year?
He has no hits.
No hits?
No hits.
Ouch. Not to. Ooh, okay.
1 walk, I believe.
All right, that's something to watch.
That doesn't have an average.
At-bats. Wow.
1 walk. 5 strikeouts.
Yeesh. All right, so not a great start for Caleb Durbin to begin the season. And don't want to have anything negative against him in that too, but it's like, ooh, that's going to be something to watch. Because that was kind of the thought. Did the Brewers feel like, all right, we're going to sell high on him because maybe he overexceeded expectations a bit? So Freddie,
I think that's the crazy part where it's like that was a heat check trade, and right now it's looking good.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious how Freddie's doing. Yesterday, no decision, 5 1/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. That is a typical Freddie Peralta line, if there ever is one. Please tell me the 1 earned run was a home run too, like a solo shot. Where was it? No, it was not. So, then it's not a perfect Freddie Peralta line there. But all right, yeah. I mean, 2 starts and you look at it, he's got like a 4-something ERA. That'll lower itself. That'll even it out. But yeah, there's a lot I think to like, and there's really not a whole lot to nitpick. If you're going to nitpick what we've seen so far from the Brewers, I'd throw Frelick in there. You could tell he's really frustrated at the plate right now. And I know he was the guy that had the most ABs in spring training, so he was definitely trying to work through something. And there was a moment last night's game, was it bases loaded, but it was towards the end, and he popped up like to the catcher, and you could just tell the look on his face. He's not in the zone right now, and he's going through a funk.
And I think we have the perfect manager to get him out of it, because there'll be a random time when Murph will say bunt.
Yeah.
He'll put down a bunt, and he'll go on a hitting streak, because that's just how they work.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get out. He'll get out of it. His speed and the way he plays defense, something will click for him eventually. It's just he's in a slump, and when you have Lockridge hitting 400, it makes up for it a little bit.
Yeah, and Frelick's, he's got his 21 at bats, which is up there too, and he's got 4 walks he's taken. So, and that's another patient guy at the plate and such too. But yeah, if all things were equal, and you said which one would you trust more to get out of a slump, Joey Ortiz or Sal Frelick, would you pick Sal Frelick?
Sal Frelick.
Yeah, I'd pick Sal Frelick too. So no crazy concerns yet for me when it comes to Salvatore Frelick. So, and hey, he's a Boston guy, so maybe going over back to his home area, he might just let her rip over in Boston. So,
well, and I believe that first series we saw a lot of left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help a lefty batter.
Right.
So to see righties is going to help them get back in the groove.
Yep. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We got plenty more to get to here, though, but continue to send us what is your first week impressions for this Milwaukee Brewers squad, this 5-1 Brewers squad. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Spring is here. It's the perfect time for a fresh start and a new ride. Whether you are planning some road trips or tackling some weekend projects, or you're just ready for something new, and now is the time to upgrade. At Toys and Ford, you'll find a great selection of trucks, SUVs, and cars built to fit your lifestyle and budget. Plus, their team is here to make your car buying experience easy and stress-free. This spring, drive something that you'll love. Toys and Ford, your next adventure starts here. Got a football little breaking news and nuggets. Kirk Cousins has a new team. It is not the Rams, even though Sean McVay was almost pleading for him. It's not the Packers, even though Goody mentioned it as a possibility. It is the Raiders. According to Kirk Cousins' agent, who tweeted out, Kirk Cousins will be signing with the Raiders. Now, I don't know if anybody is throwing this out there. I don't think it has anything to do with Fernando's pro day yesterday. It's just, the timing of everything. It makes sense. I think we've talked about it for the Raiders to go find a veteran quarterback so you're maybe not pressured to play, your rookie quarterback, number one. I think it's a good fit. I think Kirk Cousins is probably going to be your week one starter unless something crazy happens in preseason, kind of like a Russell Wilson-esque, Matt Flynn sort of thing in Seattle. But I think it's a smart move on both sides, I think, for the Raiders and for Kirk Cousins, because it seems like that was probably the most important thing for Kirk Cousins. He still wants to play, and that's probably the best situation for him to go play. So.
Yeah, the Raiders talked about this offseason not necessarily wanting Mendoza to start week one, and obviously everybody says that nowadays, but I think that ownership really understands that the ability for a quarterback to learn year one is important. And so I definitely see Mendoza starting at some point in year one, but just to learn first 4 or 5 games, get him out of the way, and then come in kind of when he's ready.
Yeah,
would be big, because first round picks are expected to perform immediately. And so they're doing right by Mendoza.
Yeah, I think so. And, obviously Kubiak has a connection with Cousins. They were together for a couple of years in Minnesota when Cousins was over there. So it's a natural fit with her. It's just, it's a smart move on both sides, I think. And this probably now opens, I would imagine, for Jimmy G. If Green Bay is looking for a veteran backup quarterback and such, or maybe Jimmy G just returns to the Rams at this point in time. So, but the veteran backup quarterback domino has kind of fallen now, so we'll see how the rest of it shakes out here. So, but yeah, I think it's a smart move. It's been a weird offseason for sure for the Raiders, because you trade back Crosby, but then you don't. So you keep him, and they spent a lot of money in the offseason. So I don't know, maybe it's going to be interesting to see what this team looks like. I think they'll be better than what they were last year. They've got some nice pieces, but
I think this team could be like the Patriots. No, they're not going to go to the Super Bowl, but I think they could win 8, 9 games this year, be kind of on the cusp. The hard part is their division's so good, and that's going to create problems for them. But I love the additions they made, and I can't believe they had enough money to get Crosby back. So
Yeah. But that's a tough division to come through with Denver and KC and the Chargers over there too. So, but no, smart move. It totally makes sense for the Raiders to do that. So, but we'll see if there's any other. Okay, yeah, Diana Rossini just said Cousins had interest from several teams, including the Cardinals, Rams, and the Packers. So I'd be curious. Okay, so if they legit had serious interest in Kirk Cousins, who are some other veteran free agent quarterbacks that could be out there for Green Bay to bring in? Obviously, Jimmy G has been mentioned as a possibility. Let me unrestricted free agent. We've got, trying to go through this list. I want who's available. I want guys who are available, not guys who are signed right now. Well, this site does not do me any justice at this point, so I'll have to find a different one. We've got, do you have a better list up there? Maybe not. This one is not a good one. Let's go here. Maybe this one will be a little bit better here. Nope, that's not. Why is my computer stinking right now? Here we go. I think this one works. Okay, Tyrod Taylor. Russell Wilson. No Russell Wilson. No Russell Wilson.
Bring back Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, right. Taylor Heineke. I think Taylor Heineke grew up as a Packers fan, so I mean, if that's what that you want, he's the guy that I think he buys a pair of shoes, a new pair of shoes for every team he beats in the color or something. There's some weird story with that. I remember that. So I think he actually beat the Packers when he was with the.
Yep,
Was it the Commanders or something?
Yep.
Okay, so, trying to look at this other list. It ain't a lot. Cooper Rush. Yeah. No, I don't.
I think
don't
they
want
may
Russell
ride with
Wilson.
Ritter.
I think they're gonna now. Ted Boyle's available. You bring him back for crying out loud. So.
I mean, is there any way they could trade for somebody?
Well, that's the thing. I think if they do that, they probably will wait for preseason to get over with, kind of like they did with Malik. Go through the preseason and see who's like that potential option. I know Anthony Richardson's name's been out there, but that's too much money.
They want too much.
Yeah,
for him.
And then the cap hit on that is just no, thank you. The one name I'm kind of curious if they would. What's his cap? Let me look up his cap. Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
What's his cap though? I'd have to. So he has a base salary. Okay, his cap hits $3 million. That ain't too bad. It'd only be for 1 year, whereas Malik would have been for. We had him for 2 years, obviously. So, yeah, it'd have to be one of those. I'm trying to think of another quarterback that was drafted fairly high, that could be on the outs. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about
J.J.
that.
McCarthy.
Who's the Saints quarter? Not their starter.
Yeah, Rattler.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler. Would that be an option?
You could, yeah.
Because they also brought in Zach Wilson as their backup. So Spencer Rattler, what's his cap situation? All right. He'd be under contract for 2 years. He's only got a cap hit of a 1.159. Would Spencer Rattler be an option?
I mean, he showed he could perform with the Saints. He wasn't awful.
Yeah. Huh. All right. I'm just trying to think of like those bottom end quarterbacks that are still like on a rookie contract or something like that, because I just don't think the veteran options are out there. If they don't get Jimmy G, I think that's what they do then. I think they probably do go into the preseason, see what they got, and then maybe look at the trade market again. Kind of like what they did with Malik. That's what I feel like, but could be wrong. We'll see. So, all right, we got to take a break and switch gears, and we'll chat with Mr. Jake Boakes. He's coming up after these few words. With spring rolling into the area, it's time to get back outside and enjoy the season. And whether you're heading to the range or maybe getting ready for hunting season or just gearing up for time in the great outdoors, Tilden Gun is your local stop for selection, service, and expertise. They offer a wide range of firearms and accessories along with a knowledgeable staff who can help you find exactly what fits your needs. No pressure, just straight answers and real guidance. It's about making sure you're comfortable, confident, and ready for your next outing. Spring is a season to get prepared, to get organized, and to get outside. And Tilden Gun is here to help you do just that. Stop on in and see what they've got in stock and why so many in the Chippewa Valley trust them year after year. Tilden Gun in Eau Claire, your hometown source for gear, service, and experience. Let's do our outdoors chat with Mr. Jake Boakes. Jake, you staying safe, staying dry out there on the roads?
Yeah, it's obviously a little icy this morning, but the rain, I think, is helping melt some of that up, so it's not too bad.
Right, yeah, definitely. So, hey, before we get to
it's spring.
Yeah, it is, man. April showers bring May flowers, right? That's the old saying. So.
That's the old saying.
Before we get to some questions from listeners and such, just because it is coming up here in this weekend, but the youth turkey hunt, I know we've chatted a little bit about it off and on for the last couple of weeks, but it's kind of the kickoff to the spring turkey season and such. But maybe just another kind of refresher reminder for everybody for this weekend for the youth turkey hunt. Any last second, any last minutes, notes that you'd like to throw out there?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, kind of like we discussed in the past, but just making sure you have your licensing. So, the two things that we see as conservation wardens is the youth that unfortunately the parents or grandparents didn't buy a hunting license for. So then we have to have that discussion about the importance of that with the parents and stuff, or them shooting two birds at once, which accidents happen. There's no doubt about it. So I'm not too worried about that. But the important thing is to try to make so that doesn't happen. So if you're going to take out a grandkid or a friend's kid or even your own kid, and usually your wife or your husband buys the licenses, just double check before you go out that not only does the mentor have what they need, but also that the youth has what they need. And then when you're in that moment and adrenaline's pumping, make sure you pick, a legal turkey that isn't, in a group of 3 or 4 or something like that. Even if that means potentially passing up the big one to shoot a smaller one because it's on its own. Make that ethical and sportsman decision to make sure you're shooting what you're allowed to and not too much.
Would you say that's kind of the biggest issues you run into, is maybe like that 2-for-1 issue when it comes to the youth turkey?
Yeah, those two things are for sure the two biggest things we see this time of year. Sometimes, or for the youth hunt specifically, sometimes at the beginning of the season we do run into other turkey hunters that think they have the first or second hunting season, and when in reality they have the third or fourth, and they self-report and stuff like that. So, or maybe not, or we catch them in the field. The biggest thing is I've always talked about it. If you make a mistake, call the tip line, self-report, or give your local warden a call if you know him or her, because when we are able to work with someone that self-reports, it goes down a completely different path than us, checking someone in the field that has the wrong seasons, or we get a complaint that someone, shot their turkeys or hunted with a license or road hunted or something like that. But we all make mistakes. You're going to make a mistake at some point. The thing is how you handle it. And, I can't say 100% of the time you're not going to get a citation or something like that. But I still have yet to find a time in my career when someone self-reports something like this where I haven't been able to work through the situation with them. We don't want to take a kid's turkey. We don't want to write citations to the youth or to mentors that are trying to do the right thing, especially when they're self-reporting. So it goes a long way with how the situation handles if you make a mistake, if you just call your local warden.
Gotcha. All right. Let's go to...
Also...
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Also, just to make sure we're on the same page, Did you say this weekend? Because I think, unless I got my dates wrong, it should be next weekend.
Is it next
the
weekend?
Spring.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 11th and 12th. So it's the weekend leading up to it.
I don't know why, but I've been like a week ahead on everything this week. I thought the Badgers were playing hockey tonight and all that. So, yeah, I've been a week ahead.
You're totally fine because for all I know, it is a week ahead, and I missed a week of my life because it's been that busy. I could have seen that happening to me too. So no worries. Just if people are listening, I just want to make sure the spring youth turkey season is the April 11th and 12th.
All right. Well, that's probably even better for some people considering what the weather's supposed to look like anyways. So.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's not going to be an ideal weekend if you're going turkey hunting.
Right. Exactly. Well, let's go to a question we had from Paul. He wanted me to say or ask, can you ask the game warden how close you could fish to Lake Superior without a Great Lakes trout stamp? Normally get an inland water stamp, but I fish the Cranberry, which flows to the lake, but not quite sure when I need to get the other stamp.
Yeah, so for Lake Superior specifically, I'm not familiar with the Cranberry. I don't fish up there too often, so I'm just assuming it's a tributary, a river, a stream into the lake. But for Lake Superior, you need to have a Great Lakes trout stamp, salmon stamp when you're on the lake itself. So like you're at the shoreline and you're out into the big lake. When you're on any of the streams that flow into Lake Superior, you need an inland trout stamp. So the question for that Cranberry, I believe, would be they would need to have the inland trout stamp because they're going to be inland. You know, they can get right up to the mouth basically and have the inland trout stamp and be fine. You just can't, you know, there's not a line on every single stream, river, tributary that says like, here is where it ends and here is where the lake starts. You know, you got to use some of your common sense, you know, where that stream dumps in to the shoreline, to the coast, to the whatever. That's going to be your line between lake and stream. So an inland trout stamp will be fine. You can get right up to the edge. If you think you're going to cast into the big lake, I think it's only an extra $10 or $15 to get that Great Lakes stamp as well. So definitely I'll use that as my plug for my each week of always saying, you know, double check the regulations, because in the regulations it shows that that you need the inland trout stamp, which is good. I'm glad our rigs have all that. But then if you go to Lake Michigan, and I remember this from when I worked out there, is that their rules are a little bit different there. There you have to have a Great Lakes trout stamp all the way up into the first dam in the tributaries, the first dam or wherever the first impoundment type of thing. So it's different on Lake Michigan versus Lake Superior. So there's my plug for if you are going to, you know, go fish different water bodies, you want to check those regulations, because what works for Lake Superior might not be legal or applicable to Lake Michigan.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's because we talk a lot about that when it comes to like opening fishing, right? It feels like different bodies, not just the big lakes, but rivers and lakes, smaller lakes, different regulations and such all over the place. So it's always smart to check those regulations.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, if some people are frustrated on that, I totally understand that. It's my job, and I still have to always be looking in the regulations, you know. We definitely get it, and again, that's why we use discretion and stuff. But that's why I plug it every week, the importance of reading the regs, because in my career of doing this job, most of the time when I run into people that are reading the regs, they're like, I might ask this, and they can basically repeat it, or they can pull it up on their phone. A lot of times the people that end up in a situation where they have a short fish, or they have the wrong license, or they don't have a license, is because they didn't take the time to, you know, double check that they had licenses, or double check the rigs and just kind of go off what they've thought it's been for the last 10 years of them fishing there. So just the importance of, you know, kind of making sure you're in compliance before you go.
Would you consider yesterday kind of the New Year, like Happy New Year for everybody? Because April 1st with the licenses and,
definitely,
and registrations and such.
It's the DNR New Year.
There you go.
So year of the trout or something. So it's It is. Everything flips over. Again, I guess I've been using the word discretion a lot today. If we go out checking someone today, we're going to use obviously a lot of discretion on fishing licenses and such because it is the switch. But yeah, it's time to get those, get the boats re-registered, get your fishing licenses. Obviously, it's 2026, so we know you need new turkey stamps or new turkey licenses and small game and deer and everything. That's pretty obvious, but a good reminder of like, if you haven't bought a patron's license and you usually do, go buy it now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I know we talked about trout too, but April 4th, 5 a.m., the general inland trout season opens up too, so that's coming up right around the corner. And then we are a month away from the big one, the general inland fishing opening up.
Yeah, it's going. The nice thing about the spring is that once you get through the spring and once you hit June, basically everything's open, so you don't really have to worry too much about opening dates and such anymore. But yeah, they bumped the trout opener up a month, to give more opportunity, I believe, to fishing, and then the big one in May. So the thing to remember is like there's still closed areas. There's still species that are being protected and stuff like that. There's still refuges, like on Lake Altoona right now below the dam. That's a refuge. You can't fish there, stuff like that. So you just want to be mindful of where you're fishing for the next month or so and make sure you're in areas that are legally open.
Jake, we had a question come in, and I was kind of wondering if anybody was going to ask this because I don't know if you saw it on like Facebook and such, but there was a video, I think, of like somebody posting, is this a wolf, is it a coyote or whatever. I think it was over by Fall Creek and such. And we've talked about this stuff before, but maybe another good reminder. Is that something that you guys want calls on? Is that something that they don't have to call the DNR about if they see a wolf in the wild? I know it might be rare for some people, but is that something they should call you about, or is that not necessary?
Not necessary. It's good to be aware of everything, but I think most people, you're right. I mean, it is still like, I can't say I've sat down and watched wolves run by my house or run by my hunting land or my office every day. So it's still not a common experience for myself even, but it's pretty well documented. I think we all know that we have a lot of wolves in the state of Wisconsin. I think where some people are surprised about is how far their range has spread to the south. I think a lot of us still imagine they're up in the north woods, but most of the wolves that I've dealt with, been seen, participated with, are Clark and Jackson County, and that's technically south of where we are right now. So they're out here, they're around, they're definitely in Eau Claire County. We've seen a lot of pictures and photos over the last year of them, kind of moving around. So you're more than welcome. I said it's not necessary, but that doesn't mean you can't. Like, if you want to call, you should call the wildlife biologist and let them know. But if you want to call and let them know, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you feel like that's the right thing to do. That's totally fine. We also have, we talked about this form before with, the rare, unusual species when it comes to, if you want to report a moose or a Bigfoot or a cougar, you can do that. You can report you can report the wolves on there too. It's another thing that the wildlife staff will use to document their range and where they've been seen and stuff like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. And, more data is better than no data. You can do that. But for the most part, unless, we see a news release that says the DNR is looking for bear dens, the DNR is looking for incidentally caught wolves to put radio collars on or something. Generally, we don't need to know just because we know that they're out there. We know where they're at. We have staff that are monitoring it and doing studies and research and management. So we appreciate it, but it's usually something we're pretty well aware of already.
So maybe just to kind of recap it, or just to add on to that, what if, let's say I'm walking around a field or in my woods and I find one that's deceased and it's evident that maybe it was shot? Is that different than I should probably call you guys?
Yes. If you see one running across the highway east of Fall Creek, you can tell your buddies and be mindful of it. But if you find one in your woods that has a hole in it, you definitely want to give us a call. they're still federally protected, whether you like wolves or not, whatever side of the fence you're on. They're still federally protected, and not only do we protect them as a state either way, but the feds protect them, and we have an obligation to make sure they're all being protected equally. So there's no hunting seasons. There's no reason they should be shot. So if you find one like that, we definitely want to look into it. We've found some recently, and we do investigations. We use a lot of our resources to be able to track down different ways to find people or how that wolf got there. So we do definitely take them seriously. So if you find something like that, give us a call or call our tip line.
All right. Hey, before I let you go, any other final words before we really hit turkey season next week?
No, just have fun. There should be plenty of turkeys. They've been out gobbling for a while now. They've been out strutting in the field, so it should be good. Should be a good season depending on how the weather goes and everything like that. I don't need to keep beating a dead horse here, but just make sure you have your licenses and make sure you're ethically hunting. And if something comes up, give us a call. But it should be good. It should be fun.
Awesome. All right.
Before we go, I got a question for you. I remember talking about your bracket when this all started, and I know you picked Illinois. So how are you doing?
I've got all my Final Four teams there, dude. I got them all there, man.
I thought you did. That's pretty good. Yeah. I got to give you a little credit where credit's due, right? Good job.
Hey, if UConn and Arizona lose, though, then I got nobody in the championship. So all about nothing there. So
yeah, well, but you're ahead of a lot of others, including myself. So
yeah,
you're good.
That the way that Duke and UConn game finished, I was, I'm not a UConn fan. I'm not a Duke fan either. So, but I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take that because I'm 4 for 4 then. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, it helps you. Plus, it's kind of fun watching history. That's going to be one of the top shots for forever in these games. So that's pretty cool. So
yep, exactly.
So yeah. So anyways, well, good luck. Good luck with the rest of it.
Appreciate it, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch up again soon. Okay.
Thanks. Sounds great. Talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll wrap up the third quarter coming up after these few words. Baseball is back, and that means one thing. It's brat season. So swing on into Mike's Star Market and stock up for game day the right way. From a fresh and wide variety of flavorful brats. Spit it out, Dan. They've got everything you need to fire up the grill and feed the whole crew. Whether you're tailgating or backyard grilling or you're just catching the game at home, nothing says baseball like brats on the grill. Make every pitch, every inning, and every bite count. Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire, your home for brat season. Tell you what, let's do this. So hit me up with your Final Four picks because we're not going to be on tomorrow morning, so we won't be in tomorrow. So hit me up with your predictions on who you think advances to the national championship game. So let's get those picks rolling. You can send them on over through the Section 105 chat, or you can hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line if you'd like. Also, as we enter the final hour here, it's our Takeover Thursday. So if you got any other topics that you'd like to hit up, let us know. We're open for business here. So send those on over. Your other enough. What's a sports talk? What's a sports narrative or story where you're just enough is enough. So, but we got a little bit yet to the top of the hour. Looking at some of the also got the Masters coming up next week. We know Tiger's not going to be there now after his ordeal. Puka now is in rehab too. Puka Nakua. So, I mean, holy moly, there's some stuff going on here. But I can't remember if I asked you or not. Do you watch the Masters? Do you get into the Masters?
The end of it.
Yeah. Okay, so like the weekend and such?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I always want to see Tiger and that stuff, but now I think I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like it's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. I still get excited for the Masters and such, and then it kind of dies down a little bit and such. I just want some pimento cheese sandwiches and stuff too. So, but that's going to be coming up. Yeah, next week is kind of that weird week because you got, it starts Saturday with the Final Four, National Championship Monday, and then Thursday's the Masters right away. And then you throw in
Easter.
Baseball stuff. Yeah, and then Easter's on top of it too. So you got a lot of stuff that's going on and such. So, but it's one of my favorite weeks of the year too. So, but all right, where are we at here? About 7 minutes to the top. We're going to talk some more Brewers coming up in the next hour. Who has been most impressive for you, or what has impressed you the most when it's come to the Milwaukee Brewers in the first week of the season? They're 5-1 through the first six games. So if you had to pick one player or thing that's maybe surprised you the most or has impressed you the most, who are you going to roll with? So send those on over. Nick's got, I'm hoping Illinois versus Arizona. I would like Illinois versus Michigan for an all Big Ten championship game. I don't want that. I want to win my bracket. So, Surveyor says Illinois over UConn, Arizona over Michigan. I'm going up against Surveyor for the winning thing of the bracket. So his picks don't count. That's just, yeah. I can't do that. So, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I need UConn to win. That's if UConn wins, I got Surveyor beat. So, go Hurley, and go UConn. So, that's might have to make a nice friendly wager bet after that, Surveyor. So, but keep those picks coming. Who are you gonna roll with?
I want not Michigan. I want Arizona and UConn to win.
Okay, so you're on my. You can't root for Big Ten if it's not Wisconsin.
It's not that. I think this year it's kind of like the Badgers were better than Illinois, and the Badgers beat Michigan and Michigan. So to see those two teams in a national championship would just be hard for me. And I picked Arizona for my bracket, so that's kind of why I want them to win. And yeah. I like UConn, so it's partly if the Badgers aren't in it, Big Ten can.
You know what? I get this weird feeling it's going to be Big Ten because part of it is the Arizona coach is getting speculated about the UNC job. And now all the Dan Hurley stuff that's going on, is that going to be a distraction for those two? And then Illinois and Michigan just swoop in and just ruin my bracket after that. So that's the only thing that's given me a little bit of pause.
I would have never predicted Illinois to the national championship. It's crazy that we beat them in Illinois and then in the Big Ten tournament.
So what you're saying is by default, we're kind of co-national champions.
We're the best team in the country.
Yeah.
We beat Michigan and we beat Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's Michigan and Illinois, I think it just defaults that, and then they beat us in the turn, so we're 1-1. I think we got to play another game.
But we beat Michigan in Michigan.
That's true.
So,
but they beat us on a neutral court.
Yeah, let's play another game. National championship. There it is.
Yep. I agree. Let's settled. So let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm not a betting person, surveyor. I can't do it. Even though it's breakfast, I can't. Then I'll jinx it. See, I'm weird that way. I will jinx it. So I don't. How about this? If I win, then the wager's on. If I lose, the wager's off. Does that work?
Is that how a bet works?
Is that how it works? Oh man, but keep those picks coming. Can you root for Big Ten national championship? Can you do it? Does it? Honestly, I don't think it bothers me as much in basketball as it does for football. Football is kind of, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite for me. Like, I'll cheer for Ohio State.
I can't do that. Dude, I can't do that.
Over teams like I cheer for
Ohio
Indiana.
State's been there. Indiana was different because they were just like never there before.
What about Michigan?
No.
Really?
I can't do Ohio State football. I can't do Michigan football. I get tired of it for those two programs. No. Indiana was just different because they came out of nowhere, and yes, they got a lot of money and such, but it was new. It was new, different. I could probably root for Iowa as much as that would pain me, but I don't see it often. And I think I'm tired of the same teams all the time, like Ohio State and Michigan and that. So Indiana. Now, if Indiana all of a sudden like rolls 3 in a row, okay, enough's enough. Now, go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
It's like the Patriots. We don't like the Patriots because they just win too much. That's what Ohio State and Michigan is. It just happens to be in our conference. So, okay. Could you cheer for the Vikings in the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not.
Could you cheer for the Bears in the Super Bowl?
Nope.
Could you cheer for the Lions in the Super Bowl?
I may be able to cheer for the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
depending on who they're playing.
No, never.
They've never been there.
I don't care. Vikings haven't won a Super Bowl. Doesn't mean I want them to win one just to say that they won one.
That's true.
I can't. No. Division teams, no. I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it.
What if like the Pirates get in the playoffs?
No. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care if it's definitely not the Cardinals. Definitely not the Cubs. Pirates, no. Reds, no. No. Indiana it was a cute story. And they probably still will win too. But I'm just not used to Indiana's football. I think that's what's part of it. It's always been basketball.
But basketball, you can cheer for the Big Ten.
I don't want to, but I said if I had to, it probably doesn't bother me as much. It doesn't leave a bad taste in my mouth. I don't feel awkward. Like if it was Duke versus Illinois, I'd probably go Illinois.
Yeah, I
can't do Duke.
I agree with that.
I can't do Duke. If it was, well, there you go. We'll talk more about this. 3N. We got one more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. All right, the final hour for today's show, but for the rest of the week, we're going to be off tomorrow. So we'll be back Monday morning. So send us your Final Four picks. Who do you have advancing to Monday night's national championship? All right, send those on over, 715-830-1912. You can also join in on the chat, the Section 105 chat on our video stream on YouTube. So, but go join the crew over there if you like. We were talking a little bit before the top of the hour, and now I'm thinking of this. When's it okay? Intern Carter's also here too. When's it okay, or is it ever okay to root for a conference or a division team?
See, for me, it's like so for the Packers, take the Packers. There was no competition with the Brewers or the Packers and the Lions. I said Brewers. Packers and Lions for the longest time. So they were in the playoffs 2 years ago. And I wasn't necessarily cheering for them, but I wouldn't have been mad if they made the Super Bowl. And I don't know the difference because the Vikings have never won, and yet I don't want them to win any game.
Yeah.
And the Bears they've won, but not a ton, and I don't want them to win a game. So I'm not quite sure, but there are certain teams that I can be fine with winning, and then there are certain teams that I just can't win.
Okay. See, I'm more of a hard butt. If it involves a division or I can't do it. Conference is a little, because there's so many teams in the conference.
Yeah.
And like I said, Indiana, I was fine. I think, whereas it's different for me in the NFL because there is only 3 other teams in your division, and we see them enough. Like we once in a while, once every 2 years, we'll Badger football play against Indiana football, something like that. So it's a wider conference. So it's not as always constant as it is like Packers and Lions, obviously Packers, Vikings, and Packers, Bears. Even in baseball, right? We still have our division teams. Now, if they had it, where they kind of went back to it a little bit, where they had the divisions in Big Ten, where it was like always every single year we played Indiana, and it kind of developed into that. Like Iowa, we always play, right? Minnesota, obviously, we always play, and those. I can't do it. Unless it's extenuating circumstance. College, I'm a little bit more able to. Pros, I can't do it.
So let's say the Lions are playing the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. Are you cheering for the 49ers?
Yeah. Much as that pains me. Yeah. Now, if you had said Cowboys, ooh.
What about the Eagles Eagles or Cowboys? Oh, the Cowboys I can't do either.
I would hope whoever wins in the AFC is dominating in the Super Bowl at that point. That's where I hope. And here's the thing: I never want to ever want to see a Vikings Bears NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
I agree with that. That would be like the worst thing possible. I just no, I can't do it. I would shut off social media and TV for 2 weeks, so I didn't have to listen to it.
I would buy the jersey of the AFC team.
I'd be the hardcore fan of whatever. I don't care if it'd be the Chiefs again or whatever. Patriot, whatever. I'd be a hardcore fan for that day, for that team. It'd be like when I was a hardcore Saints fan in 2009.
There you go.
Saints and Vikings in the NFC Championship game. It's just I can't do it. You can call me haters or what. I can't do it. That's the point of having your favorite team in division team. So I can't do it. So, but college is a little bit easier because I think there's so many more other teams, and the conference isn't really a division. You know what I mean? It's you have your rivals, no doubt. Like I'll never cheer for the Gophers. Like if Gopher football, I mean PJ Fleck is a big part of that too, with the whole row the boat thing. Even Iowa, although I swear Packers draft Iowa guys almost ad nauseum at times. So it's
I think for me in college, it's also kind of whoever spends the most money I don't like. So I didn't like Miami this last college football playoff. Ohio State's I don't like regularly. Kind of those teams that are just overusing NIL kind of. It's like the Dodgers. Like nobody really likes the Dodgers. So.
Right. Well, and it's like, okay, Cubs, Dodgers, and an NLCS.
I would cheer for the Dodgers because the Cubs are the Bears to me.
Yeah.
but neither. Like, did you cheer for the Blue Jays?
Ah,
Okay.
yep. And we had a Varsho connection too, so Dalton
There you
was over
go.
there too. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other part too. I've always wanted to wear wear a Blue Jays hat. Blue Jays hat logo is sweet, same as Baltimore, but I don't think it's acceptable to wear a team that you're not a fan of, just because it looks cool. Although it looks really cool, and I wouldn't mind wearing a Blue Jays hat because I think it looks cool. But they annoy me all the time I go hunting, and I just they piss me off. They're annoying birds. And I didn't like Merrill when we played them, so I can't wear a Blue Jay hat. That's the other part. Merrill was my main rivalry. I could not. Nope. Hate Merrill. Sorry, Merrill. But this was 90s, early 2000s, so can't do it. Can't do it. But all right. Yeah, I think, like college, I almost feel like college is too. We have the certain, you're either a Duke fan or you're not. There's no in between.
Duke or North Carolina. You're on one side of the aisle, usually.
Yeah. And it was really weird when it was Duke, North Carolina in the Final Four, because are you cheering kind of for Coach K to have the storybook ending, but then you want North Carolina? It ended up being a really good game. I pretended to be a North Carolina fan when I was in college. I say pretend because I was wearing the hats and thought it was the coolest thing to do and such. And that's when Roy Williams was over there. They beat Illinois in the NFC Championship game in 2005, so I was pretty stoked about that. Because I picked that matchup because I was a huge North Carolina fan. So, yeah, I fell in that trap too. So, but
North Carolina's just so much more likable than Duke. I don't know why.
You think so?
I think so. I don't know why.
Others probably would disagree.
Probably.
Duke fans. I feel like we can name more Duke players we disliked than North Carolina players.
Yeah.
Greg Paulus, Shire, J.J. Redick. Although my good buddy cannot stand Tyler Hansborough, so that's North Carolina, which, but I feel like there's more of these Duke players that you're just like, that's a Duke guy.
Yeah, it's like Duke gets all the major recruits, and North Carolina gets a lot of them, but they're not the most well-known.
Nobody's firing their head coach, Hubie Davis, for the record that he had, if it's not at North Carolina or Duke or that. A lot of other teams would take that success. I think what really hurt was they were supposed to be number one, or they were the preseason number one last year and didn't even fell out of it completely. So yeah. All right. Have you ever cheered for a division team before? I remember when the Bears were in the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning and the Colts. Buddy of mine, college roommate of mine, was cheering for the Bears because it helped the division. Or it was, same division and such. And I remember Donald Driver even saying something like that on ESPN. I'm like, no.
Well, that's when
why are you rooting for the division?
That's when the rivalry's gone.
Yeah. I was like, why are you rooting for the division? Don't root for the conference. Don't root for the division. That doesn't matter. At least it doesn't matter to me. So, I don't know. Hey, for all you card people, must be big news too when Adam Schefter tweets it. Topps announced its return to the NFL as the league's exclusive trading card licensee. Upcoming cards will feature rookie premier patches worn in players' first games, as well as NFL Gold Shield patches honoring the 2024 AP Award winners. So there you go for little hobby talk out there. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up after these quick words. All right, Brewers have the off day today as they're traveling to KC to take on the Royals. So no Brewers game to preview today and such. But with the first week in the season, what has been maybe the thing that has impressed you the most or really stood out to you? Zach says the comebacks, the offense has really impressed me. They have came in the clutch when they needed it the most. So is it fair to ask? I don't even think I want to throw this out there. Like, what's the biggest improvement? Because it really isn't. I mean, it's outside of individual peeps and such. It's like Sal Frelick and that, but that's about it at this point. So, at what point, though, do we start to stop saying it's early in the baseball? Like, it's still early, right?
Yeah.
We could all agree it's still early. Is it Memorial Day? Is that when we stop saying it's early and just kind of say it is what it is at this point or whatever? You know, stop making excuses or coming up with excuses. Is that the benchmark or what else? Like, at what point do we stop saying it's early? It's kind of like the whole, when do you stop saying Happy New Year? You know, can't say it past, what does Seinfeld say, like January 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever it is. So I'd say probably, 1 month into the season.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So at the end of this month, do we stop, saying it's early? And, what's the first quarter of the season? So we got 162, right? 162 games into this thing. Me and math, I got to use my phone calculator here because I suck at math. So about 41 games into the season. That'd be like the first quarter. Do we say the first quarter? Because that honestly would take us to close to the end of April, right? 41 games in, I believe. Pretty close. Maybe beginning of May. Huh. I can buy that.
May 13th would be 41 games.
Oh, May 13th would be 40. So you did the math. Look at
did.
you. That a boy. Nice work. Counted it one by one, didn't you? All right. Okay, I guess I could buy that first quarter.
Yeah.
Stop saying. So maybe right before that Padres series. So right after they get done with the Yankees. I'm supposed to go to that Yankees Sunday game. I don't know if I am anymore, but yeah. My kid's a big Aaron Judge fan. So watch, Aaron Judge won't play because it's Sunday and it's Mother's Day, and he'll probably take the day off or whatever. And there we go. Wasted trip down there. So, but is that something that still people like? I remember as a kid, I wanted to go to games and such to see different, not just my favorite team, but somebody else. Like I have not seen Tiger Woods play golf, and I still want to see him play golf. I don't care if he's 60 and he's out on a golf course. I'd want to go just to say that I saw him play. It wouldn't be at the peak. And I know a lot of people are doing this with like Kobe when he was doing his final year. People were talking about, is it worth it going because he's not peak Kobe? And I'm like, it's almost, not to be morbid or anything, it's almost like a funeral because you're kind of saying one last goodbye or one last chance to see him sort of thing. And if I had a chance, I would have, because I never got to see Kobe play in person. I never got to see Jordan play in person, but if I had a chance to see him with the Wizards and such, I would have done that. I never got to see Shaq play in person. So I still, I'd look at that when I go to Packer games, like, what's the team that you're playing now? Do I get to see so-and-so, like Patrick Mahomes, or I got to see Tom Brady play once?
Nice.
That sort of thing. It was a preseason game, but he played the half. So I got to say,
Counts.
I saw Tom Brady, that sort of thing. Is that still a draw for people?
I think so. I think when you want to see a good game, so you're always going to see what players are performing the best and check to see. Like my brother loves Vlad Guerrero Jr. I mean, he would love to go see him play. So I think there's always a draw to just a good team. You want a competitive game, obviously. Obviously, if your favorite players on your respective team, then you're going to watch them first. But whenever I go to a game, I don't go to many, but I'll always make sure to look at the team I'm going, who they're playing against, and kind of see who I get to watch.
I wonder, I don't know if you'd be the right age. I know you're younger. We talk about the NBA being, I think, such an individualized sport now, where you see a lot of younger fans, and this has been going on, I think, for the last few years, maybe around the LeBron era, to be honest, when LeBron first started, where you see younger fans that are fans of the players more so than the teams. Use that makes,
Yep.
because you'll see, okay, I'll use my kid as an example because he's almost 9, but he's got a ball jersey from Charlotte just because, for whatever reason, I have yet to figure that out. Luka jersey, LeBron, favorite team is the Bucks, but he's got all these favorite players and such. And I go back to, was it 05, 04? No, it was 03 when LeBron was drafted. Did it start then where it became kind of individualized and I think a lot of it is these players jump teams so much where it's hard to maybe just be a fan of the team when, hey, that's a favorite player of yours, but they keep moving around and such. Is baseball starting to turn into that a little bit? Because, again, I'll use the example. World Baseball Classic, my 9-year-old was cheering for Team Venezuela because of his favorite players. Even though Judge was on USA, his favorite player is William Contreras for the Brewers and Jackson Chirio.
Maybe a little bit. I don't think quite to the NBA level. I think partly the NBA is, look at the Jazz. They haven't been good in a long time, and so as a Jazz fan, eventually you just pick somebody else to cheer for.
Mm-hmm.
But I think baseball is, but maybe because the White Sox haven't been good for a long time, and the Athletics haven't been good. So, but as a Brewer fan, I'm a fan of the Brewers.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Brewers, and then I kind of gravitate towards a favorite player, Sal Freely.
Yeah.
Whereas, and maybe it's just a kid thing, because they're on the video game covers. They're all over this place. Judge is a big 6'7" dude that jacks homer, so that's going to get the interest of a lot of kids, right? Let's be. Ohtani is the same thing. But yeah, his favorite player is Contreras because we would watch Brewers games primarily, so that's their first, and it might result into okay, if you don't watch a Brewers package, but you only watch the games that are on TV. Like when I was a kid, it was either Cubs games on WGN or Braves games on TNT. That's all we had because the Brewers stunk. They were never on, but Turner had the Braves, so they were always on. I could still remember the promos in my head. So it was like Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Smoltz, Maddox, Tom Glavine, or listening to Harry Carey with Mark Grace and Sammy Sosa and those guys. And somehow I decided I was going to be a White Sox fan. I think it was because black hat. I thought, okay, I'll get a black hat. And then I ended up being a Frank Thomas fan. Then I bought a Florida Marlins hat because the Kmart in Medford had it, and I thought it was cool. But point being was maybe it's just whatever is available for them to view.
I think it's definitely the case because if I go around asking people today my age, if I asked if Giannis leaves the Bucks, are you still a Bucks fan? I think a lot of people would say no.
Yeah.
If Curry leaves the Warriors, are you a Warriors fan? A lot of people would say no.
I would agree with that.
Whereas if Contreras leaves the Brewers, I think a lot of people would still be Brewer fans.
Good point.
So I think we may be getting there eventually, but I don't think we're there quite yet.
And I think what does kind of help is that there is more control. Not to say there isn't trades, but baseball, we're not so quick to trade players. You got the arbitration stuff that allows players, let's face it, to, like Bryce Tureg probably deserves a lot more money than what he's getting paid right now, but the Brewers control him for the next few years. And you're locking up prospects like a Jackson Chirio to long-term deals. In football, if you've got your quarterback, chances are they ain't going anywhere, right? They're going to stay with that team for almost double-digit years unless something bad happens. Or that wide receiver, that running back, they're probably going to stay around for at least one more contract after they're a rookie. Basketball, it don't matter. But you can be traded after a year. I mean, for crying out loud, how many teams has Kevin Durant been on? Obviously, LeBron James. I'd love to know if Michael Jordan played in this era, how many teams he'd be on. Would he stay with one team? He may right now say he'd stay with one team. But put young Michael Jordan in the era, would he still be that way? I don't think he could truthfully answer that.
Yeah.
And I don't think we could truthfully answer that. So I think that's what helps baseball in that aspect too, because I'll use it. Go to Shields and look at all their jerseys. You'll have a wide variety of NBA ones from different teams, right? You'll have, why is there a Golden State one? Why is there a Miami one? Well, look at the players. But then you look at baseball, it's primarily Brewers, Twins, maybe a little bit of Cubs, and that's pretty much it. It's regionalized after that. Football, it's two. It's Minnesota and Green Bay, but Green Bay by a wide margin, maybe a couple things for Minnesota. NBA is, of all the sports, I think that's the most individualized sport.
Well, and looking at it, I think that's the sport where an individual can have the most impact.
Yeah.
Because in baseball, the Brewers have shown you can hit a solo home run and still lose. And so in basketball, if you put up 40 points, your team has a strong likelihood of winning. And so, like Giannis saved the Bucks, just drafting him. And so, if you weren't a Bucks fan before Giannis, you're now a Giannis fan. Are you really a Bucks fan?
Right.
So, I think that maybe too, because it's just NBA is so individualized, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what the NBA markets a lot of those players too. Mm-hmm. You know, it's Wemby. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of Wemby fans who are not Spurs fans. A lot of younger Spurs fans probably don't know who Tim Duncan is. You know, but I think that's kind of where the game's at. And I think just too many people have gotten burned by players moving all over the place. Because, I'm of the mindset, like, I don't want to buy my kid a jersey because they're expensive. And if the guy's going to leave the next year, you know, his birthday, he got a Dame jersey. Less than a year later, he's gone already. So do you think he wears it that often anymore? No. You know, it's like that's the annoying part when it comes to basketball. And I think part of it, too, is, okay, let's be real. If you're going to go to a basketball game, we were just talking about it for the Yankees and Brewers one. If you're going to go to a basketball game, are you going to watch the team or are you going to go watch because you want to make sure to see Giannis is playing or Anthony Edwards? If I'm going to a T-Wolves game, I want to see Anthony Edwards. If Anthony Edwards isn't playing, I'm probably not going. I know for a fact I'm not going to a Bucks game if Giannis isn't playing.
Well, right, and we were talking about should the Bucks play Giannis again.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets will be sold out if Giannis plays one more game.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's going to games right now, so it's an individual player.
Right. And even like for baseball, I want to see the main guys play. But if I go there and I'm like, oh man, Jackson's not in the lineup, well, that stinks. Anyways, you kind of move on fairly quick. And there's still a chance you're going to see him pinch hit or something like that. Football, you pretty much know everybody's going to play, or if they're not, you already know like days ahead of time and such. And those are just, I think what helps that is there's only 9 games that you can probably go to if you go to every single one. So, yeah, it's definitely kind of weird. And I wish my kid didn't want all these basketball jerseys because the guys are just going to move all over the place. So, but all right, we got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to here. Coming up after these few words. Oh, we got a big prospect that's going to be making his debut. The Pirates apparently are promoting their young shortstop Connor Griffin, MLB's number one prospect, to the Major League Ball Club in time for their home debut. Just 19 years old, but he was raking in spring training and such. So, but yeah, I get that some of the projections and such had the Pirates fairly high, and I think if you're a Pirates fan, I will say this. I think if you're a Pirates fan, this is probably the first time in a while that you've been cautiously optimistic or excited for your team. I mean, you've had Paul Skeens for the last couple of years. You've got this 19-year-old that's now making his debut. You invested a little bit of money this offseason. So I completely get why if there's some Pirates fans out there that would be a little excited about where everything's at this point in time.
Yeah, they've got a lot to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust the Pirates to ever put it together, but they've got a bright future. If they spend some money, they got to keep them all there. But you always have a chance to win games when you have Paul Skeens pitching.
Right.
So they have a chance to be okay this year. But looking ahead with Bubba Chandler, another starting pitcher for them, they've got a bright future.
Right. I need to find, because I still want to do this, but I got to find two more, and they can be listeners. I got to find a diehard Pirates fan. I got to find a diehard Reds fan. I've got the Cubs one, and I've got the Cardinals one. But then, like, every week, kind of do like a State of the Union with our rival teams during the baseball season. Like, what's the fan perspective of their team? So I probably rare, but I need a Reds fan that's a regular listener, and I need a Pirates fan. Otherwise, we're just going to go with the Cardinals and Cubs, and then we got the Brewers, of course, covered here. So maybe if somebody wants to volunteer to be the Pirates fan, they can do that too. But you've got the top prospect rankings up there, and there's a lot of shortstops and infielders that are mixed in there, including one Milwaukee Brewer, Jesus, on there too. So, but I just feel like with the Cooper Pratt signing, Jesus is going to switch to second.
They've been trying him out at second in Double-A. Played a lot of spring training at second base.
I think he's the Bryce Terang replacement.
Yeah, I do think so. Which means he could be up sooner rather than later. not this year, but I mean in the coming years, because I could see him trading Terang. Yeah. Which sucks, but
that's why I think 2029 we're going to have an infield of Cooper Pratt at short. I'm going to call my shot here. I got my crystal ball out right here. Fisher's at third. Cooper's at short. Jesus is at second. And I think they convert Brock Wilken to first. Jet Williams is in the outfield at left field. And then Jackson Shearer is at center. And they signed Sal Frelick to a massive contract extension to stay in right field. And then Jeff Sekiro's catcher. That's my 2029 lineup.
there you go.
With your number one starter, Jacob Mizorowski.
So we still have him at that
Still
point?
have him.
Perfect.
Probably at the end.
Yeah.
And this is giving me so many shades and flashbacks. You're too young to remember this group, but like the 08, 07, 09, 06 Brewers era, where it was all these guys were coming up at the same time. Ricky Weeks, Prince Fielder, J.J. Hardy, Corey Hart, and some dude named Ryan Braun. Like they were all kind of together. This is giving me shades of all that with Cooper, Jesus, Fisher, Brock. You already got Jackson up there. Jefferson Kiro's right there. Jet Williams. It's giving me shades of that.
I mean, even Luis Pena.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been playing extremely well last year, so I don't know. Yeah, you could see an impressive young infield in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Where's Brock Wilken on that list? Right there, 22. Okay.
They also have Blake Burke.
Blake Burke is at Double-A.
He is a first baseman.
Yeah. I'm just glad I'm not figuring this out. I like depth. I like options. But, man, I'm just glad Luke Adams is a first base and third baseman, too, and he's right up there, too. So, because I feel like you don't sign Cooper Pratt to an 8-year deal, and I know there's club options, but you don't sign him without the thought, okay, that is going to be our shortstop in a couple of years. Maybe even next year. Yeah. Like, you're not trading him, right? He's not trade bait anymore. You're not looking to move. You don't sign him and then trade him. Not if you're the Brewers. If you're somebody else, maybe, but not if you're the Brewers. They're not trading Jesus. I guess never say never with Jet, I guess, at this point, since they traded Caleb Durbin last year, but he is their third. And there's a lot to like. I think what helps save that is outfield, that he could play that.
Yeah. They're not trading Fisher anytime soon either.
No. Not after what he did at the WBC. Yeah. And they love Jefferson Kiro.
They do.
They love him. I mean, Pat Murphy loves him. It's just, you go back to Pat Murphy's comments about Cooper Pratt, and I know he couldn't really talk about it at that time, but how he said, he's still a ways away, he's got work to do. And this was the killer for me. I hope I'm the manager when he does get called up. That did paint a picture of a guy coming up anytime soon. So, yeah. Maybe it's completely possible. We see Jet Williams get called up before Cooper Pratt.
I think so. I mean, Cooper Pratt is known for his defense. He won minor league Gold Glove last year. He's got to figure it out at the plate. He's a mini Joey Ortiz.
Yeah,
pretty much. So if he can figure it out at the plate, he's going to be really good. But the interesting part is a Brewers organization that is always cheap gave money to a guy that isn't proven. I mean, Jackson Churio was a top 10 prospect in the MLB. Kind of proven. That's not Cooper Pratt.
Yeah. And I know they said, like, defensively, he's major league ready. They're hoping that, now that he's got this deal, that they're hoping that the offense will maybe kind of start to click a little bit more and such, which, all right, yeah, I get it. It takes a little bit of the pressure off. I'm side up, but what if it doesn't work and he struggles at the plate? Then there's going to be that pressure of trying to get to the major league level. You got the contract, which is great. But now I think there's going to be that other type of pressure. Okay, now I got to get to the major league level yet. Whereas when Jackson Churio signed it, and I know they said no guarantee he's going to make the opening day roster. It was during spring training or right before spring training. So it worked out this way. You got a guy right now at AAA you gave that deal to, and there really is no inclination that he's getting called up anytime soon.
I think Jesus Mate will kind of have a Churio deal. I think he'll sign one and then be put on the roster. But you're right. They sent him back down to AAA, which is interesting because, I mean, you can't call him up. Who are you going to send down right now? But I don't really understand it. I really just don't understand it. And I trust the Brewers, right? Yeah. It'll work out. But it's an interesting move because, I mean, it's 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because I think when we looked at those top four and we said, who's the odd man out? Majority would probably have said Cooper Pratt. Because Jesus but again, who's the most ready to come up? It's either Jet or Cooper based off AAA
Jet
level.
Williams, yeah.
Huh. I'm excited in a way, not like pumped because I'm like, oh, this could be a great player. I'm excited in a way because it's such an unknown to see how it all plays out. That unknown part of it, like, yeah, it's giving me like that 08, 06, 07 vibes when all those guys were playing together. And then they all get called up. Even I think a young Lucroy, Jonathan Lucroy was with that group too, even though he was kind of the last one to really get called up. But still, that's what it's giving me shades of. So, but all right. We got to take a quick break, and we're going to start to wrap up things here this morning. We got some picks to make. Last call for who you're picking for the Final Four because we're not going to be in tomorrow. So get your Final Four picks in. Who you rolling with? All right. We got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, let's wrap up this Thursday show with some picks coming your way. Don't have a lot of baseball games, just 3 of them in action today. A lot of travel days and such, getting ready for the weekend series and that. But we've got Minnesota taking on the Royals of Kansas City, the tune-up for Kansas City as they take on the Brew Crew. Who are you going to roll with?
The Royals.
I'll go Royals, too. How about Braves versus the Diamondbacks?
I'll go Braves.
I'll go Diamondbacks for this one. Mets and Giants.
Give me the Giants.
Me too. I'm gonna go with the Giants. And then Toronto, Chicago got postponed already. So at Chicago. So let's do some NHL games. Got a full slate coming your way tonight. Buffalo taking on Ottawa.
The Sabres.
Yeah, I'll go Sabres too. Let's go Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay.
Lightning.
Yep, I'll go Tampa. Boston, Florida.
Florida.
I'll go Bruins. We'll go Montreal Rangers.
Canadians.
Tiger. See, every time I see Detroit, I want to say Tigers. Red Wings versus the Flyers.
Give me the Flyers.
I'll go Flyers. Columbus, Carolina.
Carolina.
Yep, I'll go Carolina. Washington and New Jersey.
Washington.
I'll go with the Capitals. Winnipeg and Dallas.
Good game. The Stars.
I'm going to go Dallas Stars, too. How about Vancouver at Minnesota?
Minnesota.
I'll go with the Wild. Chicago at Edmonton.
Edmonton.
Calgary versus Vegas.
Vegas.
Toronto and San Jose.
Toronto.
I'm going to go with the Sharks. And what could have been my favorite 2 teams. But no, Utah had to not do the name. Okay. Utah versus my favorite team and the best team in the NHL, the Seattle Kraken.
I'll go with the Mammoth.
Oh, I'm going to go Kraken. Nashville and the Kings.
Nashville.
I'll go Kings. Let's do the NBA. Not a lot of games on the docket. We've got Phoenix and Charlotte.
Give me Charlotte.
I'm going to go with the Hornets, too. Minnesota at Detroit, a good game tonight.
Ooh. Pistons.
I'll go Minnesota. I don't know why. I just got a weird feeling. Let's go Lakers, OKC, another solid game. Thunder. Cleveland, Golden State. Cleveland. Pelicans, Trailblazers. And then Spurs take it out to Clippers.
I'll go Clippers.
I'll go Spurs for that one. So since we're out tomorrow, how about let's pick who wins the Brewers and Royals series. 3 games. We got Chad Patrick on the mound, and then Sproat, and then Kyle.
I'll take the Brewers.
I'm going to go Brewers. I think Sproat bounces back in one of his games, too, in his start. So, yeah, I'm going to go that route. And then, Woodruff gets the first start against Boston, I believe. How it works. So, we're going to go Brewers take 2 out of 3. Win that series. Final 4, who plays for it? Let's do both the men's and women's. We'll start off with the men's. We've got Michigan and Arizona. Who are you going to pick?
Well, I want Arizona to win, so I guess I'll pick Arizona.
I got Arizona, and I got UConn because that's what I picked, and I still got all of it alive. So
I think Illinois is going to win.
Dare you. How dare you.
I want UConn to win, but I think Illinois is going to win.
How about all chalk in the women's Final 4 because it's all 1 seeds?
See, this is the bracket I have my Final 4 perfect.
Well, you picked all 1, so let's start off UCLA and Texas.
Texas.
I'm gonna go UCLA. And a fantastic one between 2 iconic coaches and programs, UConn and South Carolina. I'll go UConn, too. So I've got UConn versus UCLA. You've got UConn versus Texas. So, all right. That bracket, I'm looking at some of it. It was pretty chalky, wasn't it?
Yeah. Except for Virginia. They got, I believe, the Sweet 16 as a 10 seed.
Okay. Yeah, otherwise you're right. Yeah, Virginia lost to TCU. And that was about it, besides 4-5 or whatever matchups. But otherwise, it was pretty chalky. So,
yeah.
Yeesh. All right, we got about 6 minutes left to the top of the hour. Oh, never mind. I thought there was something there, but okay. Oh, I get so sidetracked on Twitter sometimes when I see headlines and updates that it's Surveyor asked this earlier. Since the Brewers are offering long-term deals, would you offer the Miz let's say an 8-year, $90 million contract, you can include one club option at $25 million.
I'd do that. I don't think he takes it. But
I was going to say the same thing. I'd do it, but I don't think he takes it. Which would be a risk, because if he gets hurt, throws out his arm or something, that's got to weigh the risk versus the potential reward.
Weren't they talking with him this offseason? I feel
I don't know if they were or if there was talk that they should be or something. Like, it was kind of weird. I think a lot of people just maybe assumed that they were going to try to do like a Freddie Peralta deal that they did. He's 23 years old. When's he going to turn 24? Really? Oh, okay. His birthday's tomorrow. So
wow.
So he'll be 24 tomorrow. So if he did an 8-year deal, you're talking about 32. Would he hit free agency potentially?
32 is old. Maybe like a 6-year deal.
Yeah, because I think he would want to hit free agency. And
especially because he's turning 24.
How old is Freddie? Just out of curiosity. Freddie's 29. So that's a little, Freddie he'll be 30 in June. What was Corbin Burns? So Corbin's 31, but he hit free agent. Yeah, I feel like I don't know if you could do 8 years with Miz.
I don't think so. But 6 years, $60 million, kind of like a Churio contract.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're Mizorowski, would you take it?
No.
You'd bet on yourself?
Yeah. I think he will. See, if you're Miz, the problem is because he throws so fast, I do think he'll get injured eventually. It's just when. Is it after the big contract or is it after a little contract? Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I don't know if I would.
I don't know. But I almost feel like they're going to decide somebody like a Chad Patrick.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be the route, or a Kyle Harrison.
I feel like Brandon Sproat is about to have another bad game, and then they're going to sign him to an extension or something like that. It feels like they're going to start extending some of their pitchers.
Mm-hmm. Because you did it to Freddie. They did it to Ashby thinking he was going to be a starter at that time, and then he went through some injuries. And he's developed into the go-to guy out of the pen.
Mm-hmm.
But they're due to sign a starter.
I mean, even Uribe is going to need a contract eventually.
I feel like somebody's coming up here soon. But we'll see. And, don't know about the whole lockout potential labor thing either, how much that's going to factor into it too.
Maybe I would take that deal, factoring in that.
I don't know how it's going to look next year. Like if they have some sort of cap, then maybe that's going to lower the numbers big time for some of these players. Like the worst person in the world that is going to get screwed over from a cap is Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Like that guy is.
If he was smart, he would get a deal done right now.
But it's can't fault Pittsburgh for this is what
Yeah.
So he would be if there was like a cap, he would be the one that gets the first name I thought of would just get royally screwed.
And Skubal, because he doesn't have a contract yet either.
The pitchers. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, just a couple minutes left to the top. So, again, no Brewers game today. They'll be back at it tomorrow, taking on the Kansas City Royals. You've got the Bucks also taking on the Celtics tomorrow. Just 6 more games left. How many more wins for the Bucks this season?
1.
I'll go 3.
Mm-hmm. Split it.
Yeah. They beat Memphis. They'll find 2 other wins. I hope. Well, maybe not. I want them to lose all of them and maybe get some extra ping pong balls in that.
Get the first pick
in that drawing or such. So, but yeah, I'll go 3. But they're not beating Boston. That's just not happening.
Although it'd be such a Bucks win,
right?
And lose the rest.
Yep. Well, that's what surprised me the other night that they actually get killed by the Jazz.
Yeah, and then they killed the Mavericks.
Yeah,
and it was like
I don't get that team. But Doc's in the Hall of Fame now, so there you go.
Hall of Fame coach.
Hall of Fame coach. I shouldn't be picking on Doc. He did win a championship, did win a lot of games, but maybe there's a little asterisk next to it and such. So, All right, shot clock's going to cut us off. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Again, we won't be here tomorrow. We'll be back Monday morning at 6 a.m. So have a good Easter weekend. Have a good weekend. Try to stay dry out there. I know they're going to be calling for rain quite a bit here, but we'll be back Monday morning, same place, same time, 6 a.m.